Hey, spoilers. Again, spoilers. Come on.
Okay, I'm gonna go open my beer.
Wait. I want to go too.
Wait. Okay, ready?
It's too late.
There we go. And no spillage this time.
We all did it.
Smell of ginger. Have I ever told you what happens to caterpillars of moths and butterflies when they cocoon?
No.
No,
So
Tim, no.
You think they go through transformation, right? Their eyes shrink and they grow beautiful wings, right? Like Transformers.
Sure.
It's not actually true. They dissolve into acidic liquid. Their entire body turns into this disgusting goo. So if like within a week you opened up a cocoon, just this slimy gack would just fall out. And
That's disgusting.
Slimy gack has a couple of like sort of like stem cell-y kind of cells that remain. They're invisible, and then they rearrange that gack into a beautiful butterfly. Isn't that crazy?
That's actually really cool.
Oh, beautiful butterfly.
That's
Yeah,
so.
that
I
is
never
pretty
knew
rad.
that. Like all the time, I looked at encyclopedias and watched documentaries. Never heard of this goo, but it's true. The true goo. Anyway, welcome back to Twofold Podcast. Yeah. We're here.
Hey, what's up, buddy?
Episode 4, indeed. We're doing something different these next 3 episodes. We're turning the hosting duties around on a clock. That's not a right expression. What are we doing?
I'm not sure what you mean.
We're taking turns hosting.
Yeah.
We are taking
Yeah,
turns.
yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
We're taking turns. Whoever so has the films, hosts the cast, leads us into this episode.
We're doing this thing where each of us brings in the movie and the companion movie and sort of hosts the episode.
Yeah, it tells the
true.
other 2 people to go and watch it and come back and
Yeah.
we have a
Yes,
discussion
it's
about
the
it.
host's choice as this title of these episodes.
It should be called
That's
Host's
right, yeah.
Choice.
So
So
what is
host-
the film today, Tim? What
I'm
is the film?
hosting today. I brought some movies, and with me, I have the Watchers. The Watchers with me. We got Philip. How you doing, Phil?
That's me. I'm Phil. I am here. I am excited.
You're excited. Good. How about you, Jacob?
I'm good. I'm chilling out here in my underwear. It's great.
Did you boys bring some beers or some beverages?
So,
for
for our
tonight's
listeners
episode.
out there, you listening right now, you'll remember and recall that last time, Tim was the poor man of us 3, buying beers last minute.
No. I was the theme man. I went with.
You were
No,
the quote unquote theme man, which in reality
the
you were the
theme man.
pauper. The sad man with
The
the
pauper.
sad little beers from the store. And I have now
Destitute,
become
sad man.
my
Yes.
saddest of
You have
beers.
I give you
And
the poor
I've
man's
always been the guy that goes against the grain. I didn't want to bring beers. I tried doing something, just to be different from these 2. But this case,
Ooh,
I got a
you
beer.
go first, Phil.
crown. Okay, so
me.
Jacob. Oh, Phil.
okay,
Well, no.
yes, please. Okay, so there's this store called Lidl. And we talked about that, I think, in a few other episodes. And I just got one of their
Steam
what's it
bug.
called?
the steampunk.
Steam brew.
Phil, I was expecting
Imperial
I was expecting
IPA.
something
like it's gonna
crazy.
be the story. Like, oh, I went to Norway where this old man brewed.
And he said,
Okay, hold on.
Go
I'm getting
700
a
miles to
serious
find the
case of
desert
deja
rose.
vu. I'm getting a huge case
Why?
of deja vu here.
Why? Because Jacob had the same beers.
No,
two
because
episodes before?
you were talking about the same thing in one episode. Maybe it might be our pilot episode that we never showed anybody, but man, it sounds like you said the exact same thing. And I'm looking at the exact same screen. Oh, the deja vu is strong.
Yeah.
It's true. Didn't we talk about the deja vu in the Matrix podcast where we found out that deja vu is just like a mind fart?
We learned a lot.
didn't
on
have-
the
it didn't
Matrix
actually
movie. We
happen
learned a
before.
lot, I have to say. And I forgot.
We did.
We learned. So my drink is a really generic-y cider. You know how they make those, the big boys make the ciders?
What
It's
is this?
called Somersby.
Is this a?
Apple.
It's a classic. Somersby. how is it compared to on the ciders? Your lips have tasted.
Well, I like
Oh.
actually there's interesting, right? There's this cider in the can, which typically there's also another one here. It's called Strongbow.
So sweet as hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Strongbow cider is
And
very
these like
sweet.
store-bought ones are pretty sweet. But then you have like the pub kind, which is like on tap, which is an actual
Mhm.
cider with a more natchy flavor. Sometimes I like the natchy, sometimes I like the sweet.
Sometimes you like the
Sometimes-
match.
Speaking of Lidl,
Sometimes-
Lidl has their own
Yeah.
cider as well.
Oh god.
And it actually tastes
Great.
natchier.
Well, next time you guys are over, we should have like a Lidl beer tasting,
I think we should.
a special from Twofold.
And we can drink like,
Yeah.
those
That'll be on our
those funny beers
Patreon.
like Hobgoblin and
Exclusive.
stuff. Remember that when Tim, you were over, you guys went to buy these beers and you guys were fooled
Yeah.
thinking they were like actual good beers because of their labelage.
Yeah, they were
but it was
not.
just
Yeah.
like poop.
The labelage was pretty good. Great graphics, but the beer. So
Remember the
me,
banana bread one?
I have went to the beer sport. Oh yeah, that's Phil's magical choice. So
My magical choice. Very unique, very top of the world.
we spend like an hour in that store.
So you're a big boy today, right, Tim, with the proper beers?
I am the biggest boy in this club right now. I have went to the beer store on my way to the podcast. I stopped and I looked for something I never saw, and it's new. So there's this Botanical Brewed Blend. It's a company, I think. I've never seen. Their beer is called Lowlander. And I got 2 beers from them. This one, they're very, very weak alcohol-wise, which is good. So let me read you the label. So
Read
label.
this.
Yes, you're in labor.
Lowlander, ginger and kaffir lime.
Kaffir.
Ginger, kaffir lime, cardamom. I don't know how to read this. Darjeeling tea and wheat beer. So it's a wheat beer with lots of
Darjeeling tea, I think, is Indian.
Asian, like, yeah, it's like an Indian kind of flavor, and it's actually really interesting. It does feel. I ironically enough, I went to like it wasn't Indian, but it was Iranian kind of place for lunch, and it just has like this most delicious flavors of it's basic
Today?
food, but it's just today. It's just so good on the flavors, and it actually matches the
So
flavors.
where's the beer from again?
This is not beer. It's from Holland
Ooh,
or
Netherlands.
what's it called in Netherlands?
That's
Netherlands,
awesome,
indeed.
man. So you got some good
It's
beer.
pretty cool.
So you get a nice blend of flavors there. While we are the
Yeah,
pulp.
and the second beer is from this company as well.
Very smooth.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's the beers. I brought a movie. I was looking forward to.
That's right, Tim. This is all you.
And here's the thing: I'm the movie is the 9th movie from Quentin Tarantino. Once upon a time in
Mexico.
Hollywood. It is
Hollywoodland.
It's the new Tarantino movie. It's starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt, and I forgot her name.
Margot Robbie.
Margot Robbie,
you, Phil.
sort of. The posters led you believe she's starring in it, but she's not starring very much.
Well,
I have to say that I'm a jealous man of Tarantino. I'm a little bit jealous, like secretly jealous, and not because of like fame or anything like that. But you know, there's creators of art or craftsmen or everything, and there's nothing wrong with this, but they try stuff, you know. And maybe one of them is successful, and one of them is people like, and then their whole life they try all kinds of stuff, and it's maybe doesn't work out, or and it's a good approach, you know. You got to try stuff, you know. You gotta put it out there. Maybe it's not good. Maybe you know you didn't work hard enough, but you're kind of sick of it. You just put it out there, you know. That's a good approach. But there's just some people in this world, like these masters, where it's like Tarantino, you know, they put out 9 movies every couple of years. They work on it, you know, they work on the script and they make it, and it's a big like event, and everyone's interested, like, oh, let's go see the new Tarantino movie, you know. And it's just like it's so nice. Like it would be nice to have such confidence in myself that, you know, you create this piece of art and you work on it and then you present to the world, and here it is, how it is, you know. It's part of me. it was so nice to see that, you know. And it's like I would like imagine like going to see a Kubrick movie, or I don't know,
Right.
going to hear this whoever symphony. Just that sort of level of confidence in yourself, and just the level of restraint, you know, not like, oh, I'm gonna do a comic book movie, I'm gonna go do some weird thing here, I'm gonna try this, I'm gonna do a commercial, I'm gonna do music. It's just like, no, I want to make movies, and I'll do a movie once in a while. Isn't that cool?
I think that's honestly really cool. And what's interesting is that I think I had a very similar thought as you going into this movie. And you basically expressed my thinking more clearly.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Just
Because going in, I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but for me, the movies we sort of covered so far were varied, to say the least.
we tried.
No,
We dipped our toes into a lot of things.
But I'm saying that going into this, I was very excited because it's like going into a proper movie, if that makes sense, like film.
Well,
It's true.
And
It's true.
Phil,
I feel like that is.
let me finish my thought, please, and then you can
Okay.
go.
Yeah.
I wanted to say that going into the movie, first of all, I was happy because I didn't also really read about anything. I just saw the image, like one of the what do you call those, Phil? Lobby cards, basically. We don't.
I would just say it's one of the worst posters of Tarantino movies
but
ever
here's the
for
thing,
some
I
reason.
didn't see the poster first. I saw one of those like promotional screenshots, like lobby cards used to be, right?
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I see like, oh,
I
Brad,
miss lobby cards. They're so good.
I agree. And when we see Brad Pitt and we see Leonardo DiCaprio and they're wearing these 70s clothes and it says Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And I was just like, I'm watching this. And I knew immediately when I saw the image,
Wow.
like, that sounds super interesting. I like things that are set in the past. I like to, if it's like a character study film or something about, even if it was something else, I was just interested to me, like right off the bat. Like it's about people, it's about stuff that happened at a time period. Hollywood is interesting. I like Hollywood.
Yeah.
And going into the movie, those were some of my initial thoughts as the movie started rolling. I was thinking, I haven't seen all of Tarantino's movies, but there is something that separates great directors from like okay directors or other directors. And in watching the beginning, I was thinking what you were saying, having a career like that and making films. You don't have to necessarily like all the movies, but to have your own style, your own history of cinema watching and what films you like, and to have a language that you develop, and to put that on screen in a very consistent and high quality level, and ultimately sort of presenting, I guess, what you're interested in on cinema, on film,
Yeah. It's he is the master craftsman who enjoys his work, and the world audience gave him a piece of the world where he can always go and present it.
Yeah.
And it's always an event, and
because I just couldn't help comparing it to the movies we were watching so far in the podcast.
Yeah. And it's pretty crazy that's been going on since the beginning,
Yeah.
That's just how it's been ever since his first movie.
Yeah.
So before we go into talking about this movie, obviously, huge warning that we usually put.
Spoilers.
Everything is spoilers. Spoilers is everything. Everything is spoilers.
We spoil everything. I mean, like seriously, do you want me to put my voice again at the beginning? Hey, spoilers.
Sure. Yeah.
Spoilers. Come on.
Go back to the future and tell them about spoilers. If you want to watch this movie, then don't listen to the podcast until you've seen the movie. If you don't plan on seeing the movie, you can listen to the podcast. A coworker of mine talked to me yesterday. He said he listened to the Hobbs and Shaw episode, and then he went to see the trailer, and he said he felt like he basically watched the movie. Everything we
That's
said
interesting.
What made sense looking at the trailer, and he said he had no reason to watch the movie because he heard a description and then saw the trailer.
Good.
And
That is an amazing story. And shout out to your coworker.
We saved one person from the claws of Hobbs and Shaw.
That was a good review. I enjoy that.
Huh.
So
I
this
mean-
is the ninth movie of Tarantino.
Yeah.
It's based in 1969. A lot of things happened in 1969. The Summer of Love. We landed on the moon.
I mean, we landed on the moon. You guys.
We landed on the moon.
You guys didn't.
My parents got married.
The U.S. of A. Oh, that's
humanity.
right. We went to your 50th anniversary. Not yours, but your dad's 50th anniversary just a week ago.
All big events. So it's based in that year. Hollywood's changing. The new auteurs are taking over Hollywood. The old studios are falling. The story is about TV actor, kind of on going down through his career. It's not on top now. It's going down. Played by Leonardo DiCaprio, and he's trying to maybe
Rick
make
Dalton.
it still. Real Dalton. He's trying to make it maybe in the world of maybe get back to cinema from his TV world, and his friend, also you could say best friend, his stunt double, played by Brad Pitt. What was his Cliff? What was his name?
Booth.
Cliff Booth. And I would say the story is essentially about them and their lives in LA, and how it's intertwined with the real story of I have prepared notes, but
Fantastic, Tim. Excellent. Welcome to
Tate?
Twofold.
That's her name.
Sharon Tate.
Yes, Sharon Tate.
The actress who was married to Roman Polanski, the convicted pedophile.
That's true. That's exactly right.
And the director of one of my favorite movies, Rosemary's Baby, unfortunately. But you can separate those two things. Who is the next door neighbor, and it is intertwined with the real story of how sadly there was a attack on the house, and
that was real.
People got
Really?
Yeah. Don't you know anything about?
No, I thought.
Okay.
Honestly, like,
so we're in spoiler land. So let me explain a few
I
things.
didn't know that.
So
explain away, friend.
So remember, this is hard to explain, but in 1969, Charles Manson, one of his following, those crazy ladies, Charles Manson, he sent to go to that house and kill anybody who's there. I think what he was trying to do is start like a race war to make it look like some black people killed these Hollywood stars.
Oh, man.
And they went, and unfortunately, they did kill Sharon Tate when she was pregnant, and her friend, and the two people there. So this movie has a little bit of a twist on it, and I think the tension from watching the movie, if you know the real story, is kind of intense, because you're expecting one thing to happen and then something else happens.
This is
which
so
we'll
cool
get to.
because I had no clue.
That's what I like. I kind of like this.
Oh, this is interesting. I was really wondering.
Yeah,
if you
neither
guys knew
me
about
or
this.
Jake had any clue, because we're not fans of this stuff like Quentin is. So it's an interesting thing to.
Yeah. I knew about this, like just reading about Roman Polanski like long time ago.
That's the weirdest thing.
So I was aware of the story.
Yeah, because like for me, as far as I'm concerned, Quentin Tarantino never was a person who would do something that's real. So I just went along with whatever this is. As far as I was concerned, I thought everything in this film were pretty much fictionalized, and I knew that Sharon Tate was a real person, just in Roman Polanski, because I've heard that before. And then there's like other characters like played by Emil Hirsch. I forget what his name was in the movie.
Yeah.
And well,
so you guys never
and
had
Bruce
the
Lee is
click.
there.
It's true. So you guys never had that moment when the title comes and it's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and I'm like, I understand now. I understand the title, because it's a fairy tale.
It's like a fairy tale, like an alternate version.
It's
No, not at all. Had no
version of
idea.
life.
Had no idea. I just thought
Interesting.
I just thought, honestly, I thought this was wholly fictional, and
too.
he just added characters that were real people and just put his own characters in there and just made a story.
Well, and
That's
I thought
it.
That's crazy.
I didn't know it was that connected to a real
Me
story.
neither.
Okay, so
You've heard it first
we
here
got that out of the way.
on Twofold. I don't know.
What did you guys think of this movie?
Well, I just wanted to say,
Philip.
Well, I just wanted to say that knowing, Jacob got to talk about his thing for a little bit. I didn't get to talk about what I wanted to say,
Well,
because
what
we
were
have
you talking
different
about,
we
though?
have different views this time. Jake and I usually are in the same class of our opinions. I think we had that with Spider-Man. We had that with whatever we had with the other movies. But in this case, it's a little different, because knowing Quentin the way I do, I'm not a very big
First term.
not a very big fan of what he's interested in and the stuff that he likes. So for
Which
me,
movies from Quentin did you
all
watch?
right, I've
before this?
seen Pulp Fiction, I've seen Inglourious Bastards, I've seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and now I've seen Reservoir Dogs. But before that, I think it's just
Kill Bill
been
1,
Pulp
2?
Fiction and Kill Bill 1, 2. So Pulp Fiction, Kill Bill 1,
So
2.
you're just missing Jackie Brown. You're missing Death Proof. You're missing
Hateful Eight and
Django and Hateful Eight.
Yeah, those are all
Okay.
very modern.
I want to
feeling,
see
yeah.
those, but I haven't seen them either.
So I'm not going to go into this, but when I was younger, I didn't like it on principle because I was 15, and I feel like there was a lot of, and I feel like the reason
I can feel it. I can feel the teenage Phil and his righteous way of Spider-Man evangelist.
because I felt that,
True, wholesome movies like Spider-Man.
and here's the thing, yeah,
Not this violence for sinful men
that's what it felt
of
like.
the left wing.
That's what it felt
sounds
like.
very
Yeah,
accurate.
yeah, pretty much. That's how I felt when I was 15 and 16, and I feel like when I was watching those, I was watching them on principle. I was watching them because everybody that I was friends with who was interested in film, they were just praising Quentin Tarantino to huge regard. And in fact,
Yeah.
I was doing some research and looking at some reviews today on Letterboxd on Quentin Tarantino films, and now I get it. Now I understand.
That's interesting.
But it is.
I love.
But like all the film student friends that I had when I was a teenager, they were just talking about how, like they were looking into it so much. It was like a fandom, you know what I mean? But it was a fandom for
Yeah.
Quentin Tarantino films and like films, you know what I mean? Like the movies, right?
Yeah,
And
dude, but it
for me,
it
that's
just explains so much.
and I feel like a lot of that was the reason why I didn't enjoy watching Kill Bill that much, and I didn't enjoy watching Pulp Fiction that much back then. And that being said, so I'm not, Quentin Tarantino stuff isn't really my cup of tea. I wouldn't really willingly want to watch movies by Quentin.
Wait. I mean, I have a
But
question.
yeah,
So,
and honestly, it's also the aesthetic. I don't really care that much about 1969. I don't care that much about, heists. I don't care that much about criminals. I don't care that much about, people talking and, stuff like everything that Quentin Tarantino is interested in seeing.
people talking.
That's funny. I mean, there's been a lot of great silent films, by the way, so I can just keep watching those
There's
forever.
some people running.
Phil, stop at the
Okay, it's a little
silent
too
era.
general. It's a little too general, but I think everybody who knows,
not like the
everybody
good
who
old
knows
days.
Quentin
There's no thing you can
Tarantino
be.
knows about what I'm talking about.
No, Phil, my question
All
is
right.
this.
I know what you're talking about. I have questions.
I have a
for Phil
question,
as
and
well.
then you
go first, Jacob.
My first question is, when would you say that if your shift happened with sort of watching the Quentin Tarantino movies differently happened?
Here's the shift. I watched Inglourious Bastards, and I think that was 2010, 2011.
Okay, yeah,
I thought it was so funny and fun, and
It's so amazing, that movie.
yeah,
then
and I
you sort
really
of like
liked
then-
it.
He's such a
Because-
master
for
of
you.
so many things.
Yeah, because then I was so like I didn't look at IMDb message boards anymore. I wasn't that interested in just being vindictive or being being like angry and going, let's see what the bad people are doing. When I was a teenager, and that when you get older, you mellow out and you're like, why do I do this? This is ridiculous. What was that? I was a kid.
This is so amazing to me because here's the thing.
Because I was
like,
a
when we
kid
were
back
kids,
then, yeah.
I would try to get you to watch movies like this all the time, and I would be like, Phil, you got to watch this, I don't know, like Kubrick movie. You got to watch whatever, The Children of Men or something like that. And Phil would always go like, oh, I don't know. And then I would show them to him and then be like, oh, it's okay. I'm like, how you not be like, you're mind blown by this, cinematic piece? And I just didn't understand what was going, because you never told me, Phil. I didn't understand what was going in your head. And then, but it just makes perfect sense what you're saying now. You're just like, you were there and like, I don't know. This does not compute with my moral compass. I
think it was
Something like that. And I also felt like I didn't just watch the story for the story. I
I
was
wanted to say
always
that.
nitpicking and picking apart what they're trying to say. Like someone says an F word, and I'm like, see, they just wanted to say F words on the screen. That's all they
I
want
think
to do.
I had a very similar perspective. I think a little bit less than Phil in this sense with the filmmaking aspect, but for sure, I also watched movies like this where you'd see a film that has, let's say, I don't know, take for example, Pulp Fiction has quite some crazy scenes in there, and you'd watch it and you'd be like, oh, okay, they're praising violence, they're promoting violence. Oh, look at this, they're condoning these sexual acts. You know, you would look at it in the lens of like
there really isn't any in
filmmaker.
Pulp Fiction except for one scene.
There's one scene.
Still one.
I'm talking generally, Phil.
With Ving Rhames. Never mind. Go on.
Oh yeah, the rape.
That was actually a really, really weird scene.
But that's a humor, you know.
And I wanted to say that you're perceiving that the director is trying to say something through those
or push
scenes,
an agenda.
Exactly, pushing an agenda, and I came in like that with my fists up, fists up like in boxing stance, watching these movies.
You're always waiting for something, so they do something.
Yeah,
and you
always
can
those
say,
fists
hey,
up.
Look at see.
And I feel like that has been way exacerbated by the fact that lots of people would be praising it in an unreal level. You know what I mean? Like a very high level.
This is a very Phil thing, though.
And so it's my filtering
thing.
of IMDb message boards.
This is the thing. Like,
and
I never
stuff
read
like
that
that,
stuff.
and then film fans talking about it, and that plus
Tarantino
agenda.
is really highly regarded.
Yes, for sure.
Like you would go like, and I was like, a Tarantino movie is.
But
like,
Phil, but you also had that thing where it's like if people
And I
like
usually was a
something across the
person.
board,
Yeah,
then
exactly.
You would be
exactly.
like, oh, that means I can't like it because it's not
Yep,
possible.
that's exactly
it's
how
good.
that's how I felt with everything.
couldn't
in fact.
join
like if
in
something was way too
the
popular,
praise.
I was just like, I'm not even like when Dark Knight came out, I was so depressed because why is Dark Knight getting so
You know
much?
what's weird, Phil? I have to say that this is a little retrospective, but like the thing is, like if that's the attitude you had, I always wondered. Let's say growing up with you, I always wondered like if this is the attitude, then what in the world is a good movie? Like I have no clue. There's no the bar.
Dude, I still don't know. This is the question.
It's a good question.
What is like Phil's?
I don't know too. Like I wonder
what
too.
is the great masterpiece? Because there's been a lot of amazing movies for the last 20 years that just every year or maybe every second year a movie just like completely blows me away, and I'm like, this person is a god who made this. But I've never had that from Phil for any long time. Like, is there anything that's modern that just made you go like, how is this person able to create a movie like this?
Well, that's the thing with me. At the moment, what I feel is I like seeing people as people, and I watch movies and I say, this is great. And I think this is fantastic. But it's hard for me to like, this is going to sound so self-conceited.
It's
but
okay.
for me,
Listening.
it's hard to praise something really high because I feel like that's just not my style. I can't say that, you know.
But what, you're deliberately controlling
That's
it,
what
or
I'm
you
also
just
wondering.
don't have that emotion anymore? Like you don't have that crazy joy.
I don't think I have that emotion because like I feel like subjectively when I'm watching something, I watched Land Before Time and I cried to, like recently. And am I going to say that's as good as any like Tarantino movie? You know what I mean?
I mean, I'm not saying Tarantino. I was amazed by Inglourious Bastards and Hateful Eight, but the rest, the new ones
I have
were
a
like.
different sort of question, but same thing. It's like, is there any like movie or something where you watch it and after you're finished, you sort of let go of all these sort of more objective type,
of course,
discernments, and you
these
go, like,
days, man.
And you just think like, man, I just loved the experience of that film. I just loved watching.
Yeah,
the
these
movie.
days I do that all the time. That's how I am now.
Okay, that's an
I'm just
improvement. It's
talking about how I
improvement.
was before. Now I'm different, man.
Okay.
I'm a changed man.
It's okay. This is not an interrogation. We're just curious.
No. We're not turning this into Phil. I am the host, and I say
I
just wanted
to say there's a difference between when I was a teenager and between when I was now. And
I
now
know.
our
But
story
we're
is
wondering
over.
still.
So now I'm
wait,
totally fine.
Host. Oh, I thought you were going to go on hosting.
Oh yeah.
No, I'm
I
still
was
talking
afraid
about
as
the
well. I was
topic.
going to jump. No, I wanted to say that it's so funny that the approach that Phil had watching a Tarantino movie is exactly opposite of mine. I remember hearing, like somebody was talking about a movie and it was violence, and they say it's no Tarantino movie, or it would be like we'd be watching like there's a movie on TV and it's like something like some kind of violence or something like that. My mom would be like, "Oh, don't let Tim watch it." I was like, that's fine. Pulp Fiction, that's crazy, So you hear these words, and I was like, I got to see this.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's different. That's for real.
To
That's
see
very different.
what is happening in Pulp Fiction. Just the anticipation and the build up in my head of what ungodly things happen in this crazy movie that's amazing. It's just like super violent and crazy. I have to see this movie. So it's pretty hilarious that we have exact opposite
for
directions.
real. Yeah, it was very opposite. I was never like that when I was younger.
That's okay. That's okay.
That's
we all
how it
had our
is.
paths, all our Neos and paths and Trinities. So we go back to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So I want to know.
That being said, me now, Phil, the current Phil, is going with
Phil.
Jake to watch
Phil.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Current
I
Phil.
realized, and I found out because we were going to be on the Spider-Man Minute soon. They had to reschedule, and they wanted us to record our guest appearance at Spider-Man Minute, which is for Spider-Man 3, which is hilarious.
That's true.
Shout
Go
out Spider-Man
check
Minute.
out Spider-Man Minute.
It's fun. And they wanted to schedule it exactly at the time when we were going to go and watch Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And we said, sorry, we're going to watch the film. How long is the film? And Scott Corelli, the host, said it's 3 hours. And I'm like, oh boy.
Yeah, that was so funny. This
worries.
is a great contrast because for me, I was like, yes, 3 hours. I'm so happy.
And I was
3 hours of good
yeah,
movie.
Wait, there's a story to this here. And I said, oh, okay.
I love that Spider-Man is in the picture again. It's like
He is. He's back.
He's still there.
I think Spider-Man will be
Out of the
so long.
Maguire.
MCU, but still here.
Phil going to the cinema. There's Tobey Maguire
Yeah.
behind the curtains. I must stop him.
Well,
watching these sinful things. Come watch Spider-Man with
as
me.
we were walking up,
It's so
as we
wholesome.
were waiting on the escalator to go up to our theater, Phil's like, he told me, he's like, what am I going to do for 3 hours? And I was like, we're going to watch the movie.
Because I've heard I've heard two different things about this movie. I've heard
I have
that
a question for you.
Philip,
I have
were
a
you at the
question for you.
IMDb message boards
No,
again?
I heard
When
from.
you're finished
They don't
speaking-
exist anymore.
Can I
do they?
talk?
I have a question for you after you're done with that.
Okay, so I've heard two different things about it. Now, first of all, forget the Phil from 2015 from when to 2005.
I am forgetting.
That is not me now. This one is just I just have a personal preference of what I'm interested in seeing, and for me, a movie set in 1969 about something, it doesn't make me want to go see it. That's just
okay.
not me. I'm not, and I don't say it's bad. I'm saying that's just not what I'm interested in.
You were worried. Like,
Tim, what am I going to do? I'm going to
be.
be bored because I heard people
Yeah.
who said it was one of the most boring films they've ever seen. So
Wait,
Where did you hear this?
IMDb message boards?
no,
Where were you?
from friends. Actually, some friends actually told
okay.
me. Just shout out.
Who?
You know who you
Come
are.
on.
You know
no,
who you are.
name drop this. Who's
I'm not name
bored by
dropping.
it?
I'm not name dropping.
Yeah.
I'm not going to shame
All
these
right,
people
okay.
publicly.
I tried.
And so I
I was
was
waiting to see how that plays out.
so I was just very like I'm,
So basically,
3
you were
hours.
really interested in the subject matter.
No, I wasn't. I'm not interested in the subject matter. For sure, I am not interested in the subject matter.
But did it change
All right,
when
okay.
you thought like,
So yeah, this is the setup. So what happens after the movie was done?
When the
How
movie
did you
was
feel,
done,
Philip?
when the movie's done, I really liked it. Hey!
yeah,
I liked the movie. There you go. It was great. I had a lot of fun watching it.
Yeah, what are your impressions? What did you like about
Oh
it?
man, okay. Can I, Jib? Do you want to go or do you want me?
Yeah,
to
let me
just
just
say it?
my agreement with Phil is that I really liked it. I think I would maybe even say I loved it. It was a great experience. It was a very wonderful time going to see a nice film after not having a lot of good movies to watch lately.
Yeah. It's a shame you guys didn't know about Sharon Tate because I think that would add like a really, really scary edge
right,
to
right.
that movie.
But you'll
Well,
see, I have
that's
some
funny.
things to say about that. But go ahead, Phil.
I was gonna say the same thing.
What do you want to say about the tension?
What?
Yeah, I was gonna say, knowing Quentin as I do, I was always on edge because things were happening, and I was waiting for something tragic, something bad, something that will just tip it over and make me feel sad because I really liked seeing these characters. There's all these guys. There's Mr. Booth, this great guy, and Rick Dalton, who is
Rick fucking Dalton.
I guess you could say he's like a neurotic character, and I feel like there's a lot you can like. I think anybody who's done anything about films, as like, you know, who knows anything about films, who's worked on films, who's, you know, who knows the ins and outs, not even the ins and outs, but at least just on a vague level, can relate to something that he has problems with. And
you know what I love about him is that it's not over the top. Like if you watch like a great star, like a music rock star biopic, biography, right? It's always like, oh, my my wife left me. I did all the bad drugs. I'm on the street puking. I'm just the worst, the end of the line, right? This guy I just absolutely love that scene when he's angry at himself because
yes, that's the one that sticks to me a lot as well.
And it's so basic. It's just he forgot about his line because he had too many whiskeys last night and he's angry. But it's not it's not the end of the world, like the lowest.
Exactly,
it's just a nice scene, and he's not the biggest star. He's just a TV actor. I love that. That's one of my favorite scenes in there, and I love that it's not the over the top greatest thing. I also love the fact that it's a story about someone who's maybe, someone has careers afterwards. You don't get to see a lot of that in Hollywood movies. Hollywood movies are about, the path to glory. It's about going from the richest to the rags to the richest. And this is the down.
Yeah,
thing.
and I will have to say that I think you don't get to see that because not a lot of filmmakers can make it work.
Or maybe they don't let them, Well, maybe Tarantino has the say.
See, what I like the most, one of my favorite aspects about the film was that you have these things you guys are talking about, but it also sort of balances between it being, I would say, slightly exaggerated in the sense that you don't necessarily know what turn the movie's going to take. And that's, I think, part of what makes it so interesting to watch. Because my expectation actually going to the movie was, I thought it was going to be like another Quentin Tarantino movies. Other Quentin Tarantino movies. And I was expecting to be like, oh, okay, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So this is probably a movie about these two guys, this actor and his stunt double. And they're probably just actors as some kind of a front. But really in the background, they're doing drugs and, crime.
Or a heist or something.
Really?
Yeah, I thought it was going to be some kind of bank robbery they're going to do and something goes wrong.
Or they're going to decide, like, we need money,
like
so let's rob a bank. Like, Cliff, come on, let's shoot some people.
In a sense, like messy, people's lives were just like, they're just, completely just doing criminal things, or just in really horrible places. And that's what I actually really loved watching the movie was that there was nothing about that, It was fairly realistic. And it was more of a film exploring a couple of different characters and not necessarily even having a storyline, which is something I liked a lot. There wasn't...
Dude, it was very, very loose.
Exactly. There wasn't like a narrative, and that's something that was really great because you have these moments and scenes of these characters, and in a lot of ways, I think the film isn't really about anything in specific, and that's something that I actually enjoyed because it can.
Yeah, it's more of a train of thought, or like just this is what I want to show, and I can do it because I have the craftsmanship to put it together properly, and that doesn't feel.
It can be as much as you sort of read into it or see. What parts you want to focus on,
I totally agree. And that's why I liked it as well. I honestly really liked seeing where it was going, and you know what? Those 3 hours did not feel like 3 hours.
That's great.
I mean, if I had to give some kind of criticism, it would be that sometimes it felt like the Phil editing syndrome. Like every shot is sacred.
Yeah.
There's just a few shots.
I like those.
I know you do.
It's your
it
stuff.
added to the feel.
I actually agree with Phil.
Sometimes,
Phil. In this case, yes, I agree.
I'm not. If I said if I have to, I'm not criticizing for it. But there's definitely something that I was aware of. Like there's a few scenes when the Charles Manson gang is walking up the driveway. It's just there's a few shots where they're just doing the same thing, and it's just
but those are like really nitpicky.
Yeah, I mean, but also he could be just building up tension. You know what? It's not nitpicky. Just that would be the only thing I would.
I wanted to say that criticism also came to mind for me, but I was thinking about it, and I was thinking, this would be a legitimate criticism about a movie where someone was maybe making a debut film or something, like someone who's trying to prove themselves and saying like, okay, I'm going to do my best work. I'm going to tighten this up and focus on whatever I'm focusing on. But I feel like Quentin Tarantino has been around for a while, and he's made movies that are of high quality. And I feel like at this point, I feel like he's deserved to, like, if he wants to make something longer, and it's matching the style he's going for, I think there's not much room to complain, because that's the kind of film it is.
I agree, but I would just say that I'm looking at the movie as the movie itself. I'm not putting Quentin Tarantino's name in context, and I still think it works.
Yeah. That too, I would say.
Because I feel like it feels like this was done with a lot of nice care and attention, and you can really tell the focus was there.
It's also, it's like, it's great all around, but then there's just moments when it's just insanely great. There's a few scenes.
What would you guys say is like your favorite scene?
The joy. Right at the beginning, you have the relationship between
Rick and Cliff.
What's his name?
Rick
and Cliff.
Dalton.
Rick Dalton, right? And then the entire time, Cliff is just cool as a pickle. He's just like cracking jokes. He's always helpful. He's driving him around. He's just super cool. He's like Big Lebowski cool. He's just going with the flow, right? And then he drives Rick home, and there's that magical reveal. He's like, okay, I'll take my car. He sits in his car and just starts driving like a maniac, because that's such a great character reveal of using, no words and nothing like that, but you use the language of him driving just to express the insanity that is in his brain, and it's a character personalization that's just done so nicely, and it just made me so excited for movie making that something like that I get to see again. That was really cool.
I think,
and the macaroni cheese making, wonderful.
You like the mac and
cool
cheese?
Fake brands.
Yeah, I just felt, and the cool fake brands.
Like the dog food, remember? What was it? Like good food for mean dogs.
Oh yeah. Another scene that I absolutely adored was when he Rick invites him to come over and watch the FBI episode.
Yes.
And I love that how they're watching it, the commentary they're giving. It's like, oh, that's Ed. He's such a nice guy. And he goes, there's Rick. He's a prick, man. That guy. And it just, that's a good shot. I like that shot.
That's also what Phil was saying, is that this plays into the sort of filmmaking. If you're interested in filmmaking and movies, you'll get this stuff much, much more. And you'll read into the subtext of how movie people are, people who like movies or make movies. This is kind of how, people like that talk.
It just felt so real. That was so good.
I do feel like, and I'm not going to blanket statement this, but I feel like people who found it very boring, I think it's just not,
I think it's not
something they're interested
subject.
In. And they don't know about it. Like, for me, it was funny.
Hollywood movie making.
Yeah, it was funny, and it was fun to look at all around, because I think it's because all of us here have a familiarity with how movies are made and what you have to go through to make them, and you have experiences that are similar, like them watching the movie and going, "Oh, this is great." That's
yeah. That was. Any scenes that you guys like?
So for me, my favorite scene for sure in the whole movie was when Rick is playing Caleb, the baddie. On the
was Caleb the Dakota?
Yeah, Caleb.
Because he thought it was Dakota.
Yeah, he's a Decote or something like that.
Yeah, Decote. Yeah.
And what I really enjoyed was the scene that they shot at the saloon, where he screws up his line, and then he comes back and he does the dramatic, performance.
Yes.
It was just a fantastic scene, because I love the play of here we are sitting in a theater watching a movie being shot, where you have this sort of feeling of, for me, it was like, I know that's Leonardo DiCaprio acting, and he's trying to act as someone acting on a set.
Yes. As a TV actor trying to act as a theatrical movie actor.
I was thinking, like, man, like, just props to someone like Leonardo DiCaprio and the other guys on the set, that's something really hard to pull off. You have to be a fantastic actor, but now you have to do that as well. And really just, I guess it made me appreciate acting in general. It was a very cool scene. And also because...
But he was so genuine, forgetting his lines. It wasn't played for...
Yeah.
It was so nice.
And what I loved the most about it was just being sucked in to the story and totally just watching and paying attention to what's happening on screen.
Yeah.
Because again, like in context, a lot of the recent movies I've seen and things like that, I've a lot of times been so out of it, just like thinking about other things or just noticing I'm watching a movie. This felt like I was totally sucked in and paying attention. And I wanted to say what was interesting about that scene too was originally I thought what was going to happen is I didn't know what the movie's tone was going to be like. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking that they might do wackier or crazier things given they have some scenes of them showing some of these older films he worked on. Remember they did the sort of the retro, the mimicking of old films and reproducing some of those tropes for fun. So I was thinking maybe they'll do more of that stuff. I wasn't sure yet. And so I thought in the saloon scene, I was watching, I was like, this is really good, actually. This is some really good stuff, And then I was thinking...
Like you were enjoying the movie they were shooting.
Exactly. I was thinking, this is maybe too good. I was like, maybe they're going to stop and we're going to cut and it's going to be Rick like imagining what he thinks is going to be like when he goes and acts on set.
Okay,
but then we cut back to like the cinema in the movie or the television and it's like crap. It's like, like a crappy TV show with bad acting. Like, you darn bad guy. So that's why great. I liked it, because I was thinking about those things, and it was it was a really cool sequence.
You were saying that the scene where you're watching them shooting the movie, but you're watching through the camera lens, but the camera isn't crappy quality. It's like there were so many film techniques in this movie that it's you have voiceover. You have
the nonsensical voiceover that just showed up randomly at any time.
If we're mentioning like the slide,
and that's not a criticism. I actually found that entertaining. I thought it was funny.
It was hilarious. It was all of a sudden there's a voiceover.
On, it was like, okay, we're just going.
Kurt Russell just
voiceover. There's like imagination scenes, like the Brad Pitt when he beats up Bruce Lee.
I don't think that's imagination. Do you think?
Yeah. So I talked to a coworker.
Vague, isn't it?
And she said that she thinks it's a flashback of what happened, why he's not allowed on the set.
That's what I thought too.
And I thought it was
that one was he broke a car with
right. I know
that seems far-fetched.
But the funny thing about this is that you don't know what's real or not. You don't know
if he killed his wife or not. We don't know that either.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But I'm convinced that was just his imagination. That's what I thought too when I watched it. Showing the inside of the brain,
like him thinking that's what would happen if I went, kind of a thing.
Yeah,
I can't tell you.
He was talking about it. He was saying, like, the producer, he won't work with you, and then he goes to fix the antenna, and then he's just daydreaming on the roof. That's just my opinion.
I think that's what I thought initially.
But there's like all sorts of crazy stuff. There's flashbacks. Then there's actual footage of the movie that Sharon Tate is watching, where we have Sharon Tate.
Yes, that's what I was wondering. I was thinking, okay, so she's a real person in real life now, because I noticed that the actual Sharon Tate is on the screen, and I was a little confused because I'm not as big of a film buff as Quentin Tarantino is with all these films that came out in the late '60s. But then you have Rick Dalton in made-up movies, and then you have Rick Dalton in real movies,
photoshopped into real movies.
Yeah.
So it's like it's everything.
Wait, really?
Like,
what were the real movies?
It was just
the one with the Germans. Remember the one where
real?
he's like, wasn't it?
Yeah. No, it was the
war one.
I think it was.
I think FBI is a real one.
The movie where that guy says like, you were almost at the movie that the McQueen got, right? And then he has these weird flashbacks where he goes and he sees himself in the movie that he wasn't in.
That was like an imagination thing.
Yeah, it's like there's everything in this movie. It's just, if this is your first movie ever watching without seeing a movie before, you would be so confused.
That would be bad.
Like you're not familiar with the tropes. You'd be like, what?
Yeah.
What's happening?
And then there's the ominous hippie part with all the...
I think that was probably the peak intensity sequence for me. Because again, I still wasn't 100% sure what if the
like when you're expecting that guy's dead, like a rotten.
well,
Yes!
yeah, something.
It's billed that way.
Yeah.
It was billed that way. It was like, it's it's surprisingly not Tarantino-ish.
But I like that about it.
As far as like, it was. I would have to say, I was surprised how wholesome this Tarantino movie is when you look at it generally. Yes, there's some weirdness here and there.
Yes, there is something insane at the end, which was fantastic, and I couldn't stop laughing. It was amazing.
Yeah, I didn't expect that.
That was, dude. You have no idea because I knew what happened. Right. So
yeah, you knew. You came in with the pretense that you knew what was going on. I had no idea this was real.
4 of Charlie Manson's followers were instructed by Charlie Manson to go up to the house and kill who's ever there. Right.
A random house.
But in this movie, the alternative reality is that on the way there, they are stopped by drunken Rick Dalton yelling at them that they're hippies and they came to do drugs in his driveway. And he's super angry because he paid a lot for that driveway. So they go back and they're like, they recognize, one of the girls recognized. By the way, one of the girls in the back, that's Uma Thurman's daughter.
Really?
Also, Kevin Smith's daughter is in this movie. She's one of the hippie chicks from Charlie Manson that I noticed. Yeah. But anyway, so they're there, and they're like, "Why don't we just go kill?" They changed their plan for some reason. Like the text guy's like, "Why don't we go kill
Cliff?" Right?
Cliff? No, they were just gonna go kill Rick Dalton because they recognize him, and then they went through this whole
But
thing.
Before they came to the house to find Cliff, right?
No, they were going to kill people in the Sharon Tate residence, the Polanski residence.
Oh, gotcha.
Because that's the real story.
See,
how did Polanski survive?
He wasn't there.
Oh, he wasn't there, right?
No, he was filming in Europe. And that's why the other Polish guy and his girlfriend were there to help out at the house. So his wife wasn't alone, and also her friend, her ex-fiance, the writer guy, the hair saloon guy was there. So they were going to go do what was reality, right? But they got sidetracked by drunken Rick fucking Dalton.
Yeah.
So they're like, let's kill him because one of the girls is like, we watched violence on TV and that taught us violence. So let's teach the people who taught us violence by actual violence. I don't know what weird
logic,
LSD acid trip logic they came up with.
Speaking of which, the acid dipped cigarette. That was like I don't want to say red herring, but it was something that made you be put off because you feel like if he took that cigarette and he's walking outside, I was like, no, you're gonna die. Someone's gonna die. He's gonna.
yeah. He's unable to like defeat himself. They're gonna stab him like 50 times, and he's gonna be bleeding. But that's Cliff. That's just
Cliff.
But Cliff is he smoked his acid cigarette. He's tripping on acid, feeding his dog inside. Rick Dalton's wife sleeping in the bedroom while
his Italian wife when they were going to do that Italian
spaghetti westerns.
Yeah. West spaghetti westerns, amazing spaghetti western in Italy, and he's in his pool listening to music. So these 4 killers, the hippie killers, come in, and they was his wife there, or they dragged the wife out, but they're surrounded. That is amazing. Also, scene when he's like, "I am the devil."
That was funny, man. That was
he's like, "No, man, it was something
fantastic.
stupider, Rex or something." And then he's laughing at him because he's obviously tripping his ass off on acid. Brad Pitt is, and then he's about to shoot him, and he just sends his dog, the amazing dog that was so nice the entire time, and then murder happens.
A lot of murder.
Brad Pitt murders almost everyone in that movie.
I might add.
Yeah, he knocks that poor woman. Well, not poor one, but that woman's head on that curb on the. That was just when Tarantino was just.
Yeah,
there was nothing. There was none of that until the end. It just went.
Yes, at the end, and then this
211,
and then this crazy the black-haired hippie girl is just so intense with the screaming.
Because he threw the can in her face.
Yeah,
the dog food can. And then cherry on top.
And then she falls into the pool, and where Rick Dalton didn't even know what was going on because he's listening to his stupid portable like headphone radio thing, and he's just listening to music and being depressed and his first world problems. And then she just jumps in because she gets tossed out from the glass door into the pool, and it's like, oh, and then she comes out and she's just screaming her head off. She just never stops screaming, and then he has to get out. He doesn't know. He's just like looking at her, still like screaming and shooting her gun out in the air. And he goes inside his shed to find out if there's anything he can do about this problem. And then he finds a flamethrower,
from the movie,
from the movie that we witnessed.
Which was like an Inglourious Bastards movie, like a
against
Nazi
the
exploitation movie. Yeah.
And then he takes it and he burns her to a crisp.
And then I think we can't forget that the other cherry on top was, after all this whole thing blows over, he's like, "You're a good friend, Cliff," and Cliff goes off to the hospital.
Oh, yeah, that's great. I try.
Yeah, and then the dream comes true.
I felt something.
The neighbors are like, "Hey,
that was so perfect."
Like, "Are you Rick Dalton?" He's like, "Well, yes, I am." But it's great because it's like something that they set up at the beginning, but you kind of think, yeah, that probably won't happen. That's a long shot.
Yeah.
He won't meet like Roman Polanski and won't be in his movie, of course. And I love that they just tied it at the end where, he got his like mini dream of somehow being involved with those people.
Relevant again. Yeah. But it's so funny.
I love
like
that.
How
The ending was
wholesome.
great. Where he's like, just the thumbs up. He's like, come inside.
And the crisis is averted. The tragedy of real life has been altered.
Yeah, that's interesting because I did again.
Rick and Cliff.
Yeah. Heroes of our time.
Yeah. Tarantino does this. Like he did it before with what's it called? Inglourious Bastards, where they kill Hitler at the end. He does things too. I don't know, because like. First he did Reservoir Dogs and then Pulp Fiction, which is kind of similar. It's like a LA gangster movie, right? And then, this is a 60s, 70s movie, which could be a pair to Jackie Brown, which is a 60s, 70s movie. He did 2 Westerns. I'm wondering if his last movie, which he says is going to be the last movie, he's going to do only 10 movies.
Why?
Okay.
Which would be, he just said that, like, if I do 10 movies, I will be happy, and then afterwards I want to write some novels and do maybe some books or something like that. But like 10 movies is good enough for me. I'll be so. And by that logic, he has 1 more movie to do. Kill Bill, there were 2 of them, so it's interesting. He likes to do things twice. That's Tarantino.
Yeah.
So, guys, anything else you want to say about?
I have a few things to say. Yes.
Okay, go.
Here's what I have to say. I think one of the best things about this movie was that I really felt like it was the 1960s. It, like, any movie I've seen that tries to go back in time, for some reason, this thing felt like I was in 1969. There was a lot of wonderful shots.
Do you want to know why?
Well, I mean, you can tell me later, but I just want to mention why I feel this is the case. And what I feel is there's a lot of shots that show a lot of the background that is very authentic, and how it feels like it was, and it felt like, because I think that we relate to the past with film, so I think that a lot of it was I mean, I think the whole thing was filmed in film because that's what Quentin Tarantino likes, and what I loved the most was that there's a lot of parts in this that were shot in that blue twilight hour, which we never get to see in films. And I get that it's hard, and it's something that I personally was always hoping I could do with like the blue hour stuff. And there's a lot of that, and there's a lot of things that I can, get from my memory that feels realistic, because I can remember those kinds of moments when the sun goes down. Yeah. And there's a lot of parts that are that just show people walking in and out, and it's all in the 60s, and there's like and I don't even know, like I was thinking when I was watching the movie, I was thinking he's driving all around there, and I know it's blurred in the background with the, when there's like shots of the car, but like I don't even know how you can get all this stuff to look like it's 1969.
And he's driving around, so you see a lot of things. It's not just like 2-second drive. It's a 10-minute sequence.
Yes.
You know how they did it?
No.
It's all real.
Really?
It's all real?
They set dressed everything to look like the 60s. Got all the
Like
cars,
a whole street?
everything, man. The whole drive, everything. There might be some CGI stuff, but it's super like cleanup stuff. Maybe remove some, but they got billboards. They got people. It's just Tarantino is like old school. He likes to shoot on film and he likes to do sets. He doesn't like to do CGI. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I feel if you can do that for, and I'm looking at the budget right now, it's just 90 million. I feel like that,
yeah.
There's a lot.
There's people who can do it with CGI that is amazing, like David Fincher or something like that. You can watch his movie and you have no idea that 95% of that is CGI. That guy will CGI snow out and then put it back in. But in a lot of movies, period movies, as you can clearly see, it's like really bad CGI where it's just glaring in your eyes, like, oh, it's the 60s, Like it's like some fake fog or something around everything, and it looks like a video game. But but if you do it practical like this, you don't even think about it. It just feels so real.
It felt great, and I feel like it's also due to the fact that there's a lot of thinking behind what shots you're using and how you're depicting it. And also I wanted to say, like, people listening to the radio a lot. I mean, of course, that's a Tarantino trope. I've seen that in other of his movies, but I feel like that makes a lot of sense because I can remember when we were in the States and, whenever we went to someone's car, they would always have the radio on. And I feel like you're having that also makes it more authentic. And yeah, that's great. And also what I've noticed about Tarantino when watching this movie and our next movie is that I feel like there's also a lot of attention paid to the sound. Because I was watching this movie.
The sound design, man.
The sound is great.
Man. It's just, it's some of those it was just like ASMR. Like when they walk into one of the bars, that sounded like a real bar so much that I was just freaking out. I think they go for like it's towards the end of the movie and they go to that Mexican restaurant. That was just that was delicious.
I don't know if you noticed if it was in your theater too, but one of the coolest moments was the sequence in the saloon where
the saloon rose back to there.
My favorite scene.
Jake loved the saloon.
There was where Rick you hear him the top right, at the back and right on the surround sound. He's like, he shouts the character's name. It was totally like great use of surround. Did you catch that or no?
Oh yeah. That's when he's walking. Yeah,
and I was like, who's there?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the scenes are made in a way that kind of. What I've noticed about this movie as well is that I'm so happy that I see more wide shots. I see shots that are relaxed. I don't see cuts to. Honestly, I don't remember seeing a lot of, reverse shot of like people's close-ups from. Yeah. And it's so
like
nice.
Like the lame widescreen,
Yes, I hate the lame widescreen guy standing there. Yeah, it's the worst. So annoying. Like, when you have a zoom lens, it's like going at like maybe 70 millimeters, something like that.
Every YouTube video where you're like, how to make your movie cinematic. Okay, make it widescreen and then put your person a little bit on the left and cut a bit of their forehead off.
I hate it.
Them talk. It's just, that's so overdone.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't want to go here, but Lord of the Rings, I just, the framing most of the time when they have close-ups, I just think they're way too close. So this...
way too close. Yeah.
So here...
There's no body language. There's nothing. You just like... eyes.
So here I think that there's pacing and then there is shots that are well composited that lend itself a lot to have sound design that is intricate and it makes you feel like you're there more. And I do
like that.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, continue. Sorry.
I do like that. Like I remember I was watching that scene where Rick is acting his heart out with the little 8-year-old girl. Yeah. That made me laugh so much.
Who's that supposed to be? Like some new actress?
I don't know. Yeah, but that made me laugh so much when she's talking about like, I got to get into character and all that. It's like I've heard that in every film school student talks like this. It's amazing.
And it just Rick Dalton is like the old salt of the earth kind of guy. It's just like I gotta go act.
He just coughs.
I'm an actor.
Crazy.
I have my hair and it's my face, and I'm an actor.
This is what
everybody's smoking furiously.
This is what I wanted to say. This is another thing I loved about the movie so much is now you reminded me when he's speaking to that girl. Rick Dalton, he's not doing amazing with his smoking and his drinking, and he's always coughing, in these sequences. But this is what I love about the movie is that he's coughing, and he's coughing pretty bad in some of those shots. And other movies would be like, he'll have cancer at the end of the movie.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Someone's gonna comment about his
about his thing, and he'll die, and he'll something tragic or something serious. But this is so great because this is where it it gives you little snapshots, little glimpses of, in a way, a lot of realistic stuff. I mean, he's coughing a lot. I mean, he's smoking a lot. Things like that. Like they make sense. And he's also down in the dumps in some of these sequences. But
he's down in the dumps. But at least at some point he gets up a little bit.
Yeah.
There's a change in mood. It's not a consistent. It's not like the movie's saying, "Oh, he's down."
No. But that's what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
This is my final thoughts about the movie. Is that I love the fact that, again, the movie isn't really saying anything. It's just showing these characters snapshots of what they're doing and what they're going through. And like you reiterate what you said, Tim, was that this is a very realistic, a slightly realistic snapshot.
Well, that's the thing. You can't say it's really realistic.
That's what I wanted to say.
Because it's like very funny.
That's what I wanted to say.
But
That it's more realistic in the sense of, here's an actor.
How it makes you feel.
He drives home, and here's his painting of himself.
The painting that is held by a bunch
but
of
I'm saying that
concrete
there are
parking.
people like this, and there are probably actors like this, and that's what is nailing some of the feeling of people like that, or people.
Buy a house in LA. Don't rent.
Stuff like that.
I mean, I love stuff like that. So and like in American cinema nowadays, maybe you have Coen Brothers doing this. But in Europe, and especially like tragic comedies, and it's something that I adore. This movie isn't to that level, but the extreme level is of just making fun of the loser, and I love that because when you make movies where it's climbing to the top, the truth is that maybe 1% of us get to the top.
But I would agree though with Phil too,
discouraging.
I don't look at it like he's a loser. I really don't.
No. I'm just saying, like from my experience, is that definitely he's not a loser, but it's a little bit, I would say, in between. He's successful mildly, but he's not the top. But he's also not like some poor grub on the earth. But I just say that I love movies.
He's not like the best guy. He's not the worst guy.
Yeah.
It's something, and that's the blend, I think, of the slightly fairy tale exaggerated element, but also that realistic feel, or at least capturing something that's has elements of the characteristics of certain people and what people go through, and even like phases of your life or whatever. And that's cool, captured that blend, and that's what I like the most about the movie.
Yeah. Okay.
Have a bite of that apple.
It's a red apple.
Green red apple cigarette
commercial. Did you see that at the end?
Yeah. But do you know, like way before the MCU, Tarantino and Kevin Smith were the guys who were taking the comic book, universe thing and putting it in the movies, because all the Tarantino movies are connected. They're all from the one universe. Like you have all the brands.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
And all the characters are sometimes related. That's pretty cool. All right.
The shots. Just wanted to mention the shots because I would kill myself if I remember.
What shots? Like shots.
Like the way that the movie was shot. I talked about wides. I talked about how it encompasses a lot of.
Well, what would you like to say, Sil?
But what I wanted to say was there's a lot of shots from above, like a lot of crane. I wouldn't say crane. Is it a crane? Like it's it's always showing
drone
from the
shot?
top.
What are you saying?
Yeah, from the top down. It's not 90 degrees, but it's like 70 degrees, and it's
that would be a crane shot, probably
something like that. And there's a lot of those, and I feel like that added a lot of
grandness,
uniqueness to it. Like it says something unconventional you don't see.
Well, remind me of like shot like that. I'm trying.
Like
to think
there's at the cul-de-sac, though. Like the driveway where there's so many shots of that, like like it's like the Sims angle, you know what I mean? You're seeing it from
like slightly from an angle.
Yeah,
but
you see a lot.
What is that, like a 45 angle kind of thing?
Yeah, like I would say 70, 60 degree kind of. Like from the top.
I see what you mean.
It's very interesting.
Okay, so good shots. I would recommend the movie, definitely. Even if you're not maybe a fan of Hollywood, I think you might find some value.
I don't know. I know there's a lot of people who would find it very boring just because of that, and that's fine because
people found Matrix boring. People found Pulp Fiction boring. So, what you gonna do?
Any final thoughts as the host?
As the host, unless you guys have any final thoughts, I think
I do. I just remembered that girl when when Rick Dalton's doing his amazing acting, and he tosses the girl down. Yes. I was noticing the sound, and it's great. I like it. And it just makes me feel happy because like you can really tell that sound is a huge influencer in how you perceive this stuff, because there was, there's always this like low rumble sometimes, and there's always some kind of things that are emphasized when he throws that girl down and she hits the floor. It's like a and it helped, and it emphasized something, and it made it more impactful. That's all. That's just my observation, and I really like that.
Yeah, you remind me of what I forgot at the beginning of the movie, where you're seeing the black and white, his TV show. What was it called?
Jake something? Oh, Bounty.
Law.
Oh yeah, that was so funny. Bounty Outlaw or something, wasn't it?
Bounty Outlaw.
Bounty Law.
The first scene, as he's walking through the city, he shoots a guy, and it's Willem scream.
I know.
Yeah.
Right off the bat, and it's like
just get it away.
I hate that, but I love how it's just gotten away. Like, yeah, sure, we didn't do it.
The movie
did.
Yeah,
TV show did.
Yeah.
The movie did.
Yeah, and Michael Madsen is in a little bit of a
dude. There's Luke Perry, who's dead, sadly. And there's a lot of people in there, like Timothy Dalton.
Timothy Dalton is in it too. Yeah.
No, Timothy. What's his face? The guy who plays the in the saloon.
Timothy Oliphant.
There we go. Elephant.
He's not dead.
He's not dead. No, but Luke Perry is dead.
Oh, okay.
I think we might have to move on.
We do. I was moving on. So let's listen to a song.
Awesome.
Well, this song is from Aiming for Enrike.
Aiming for
Aiming for-
Enrike.
Sick band.
And the song is called Hard Dance Brainia. Released this year. They're a band from Norway, Oslo.
No way.
I don't know. I don't know how to say that. They're a duo of a drummer and a guitarist. And according to their wiki page, they record all albums live with loop pedals. So it's just a drummer.
That's so amazing. You told me that. Yeah.
Yeah, and the guitarist just plays, like figures it out with the pedals. So it's very
Insane.
kind of like groove-like and repetitive, and they just keep layering stuff on top. It's pretty cool.
But I love it. They do a lot of looping and the
Yeah.
echoes on other tracks. This one didn't have a lot of echo, but other tracks do some echoes but not in the classic way of just echo because of echo, but blending everything. I don't know how they play so good. They're amazing.
That's pretty cool.
It reminded me of a Street Fighter level.
Maybe they'll be hired to do Street Fighter.
Yeah, or like a driving game or something. Whatever. It pushes you
So
forward.
wait, do they have a bassist or no? Or just two?
Just guitars.
Just guitar and drums, right?
Just one guitar and one drum. Just one drum. The snare.
And it's my eardrum.
Exactly.
No, really, really great pick.
So what
I
are they
have to
called
say,
again?
This episode.
Aiming for Enrike.
Aiming for Enrike.
And it's spelled Enrike, right? Enrique.
Yep.
Cool.
So sorry
Killer band, killer song. It's called Hard Dance Brainia, right? That's the song.
Yep, that's the one.
That is the track.
Fantastic.
All right.
Very nice stuff.
So guys, what are you drinking?
Yeah,
I'm still drinking my
embarrassing
Lidl
tales.
beer.
You got another little beer or?
Nope, same one.
Phil, did you get the APA or the porter?
No, not the porter. I don't like porters.
All right. So Phil's on the.
Okay.
You're on the
I
back.
am-
What about you, Jake? What do you
I'm
moved
drinking a
on?
Fine. It says here, authentic Czech taste. Kozel.
Kozel is the shittiest beer. No, Smedný
Do you know
mních.
what's funny, Tim?
Why-
Could you
A
repeat
long
that?
time
What is
ago-
it?
It's called
Smedný mních.
Kozel.
Ugh.
Kozel.
It
Kozel.
basically means what's a
Goaty, isn't it?
male goat?
Ram. No idea.
Isn't ram
a sheep.
Sheep dude.
That you guys are much better at these things. I have no clue.
Satan is the male. I don't know what is that.
A male goat.
Yeah, is it
A male goat?
Ram goat?
Phil,
Male
Phil,
goat?
It's just a
do
goat.
some-
What do you
Hey,
want?
listeners, what's a male goat?
Yeah, what
I'm
is
too
a male
tired
goat?
to
A buck?
look it up. A buck? No. It's a,
So listen, I have a
beer
story
thing.
to tell.
Mother
You said it
bucker.
was one of the worst beers,
it's just like the
but
pissy,
a long time
watery.
ago,
But,
when we
Yeah.
used to visit you, you were like, "We gotta
Mm-hmm.
find Kozel. It's the good stuff."
it's true. It is true.
Tim,
I
what
was-
is up with you? You said the best beer was Heineken.
what?
No, Tuborg was the best beer.
Okay, so you're pulling Tim from different times right now.
Of course I am. Like you do it with me.
It's true. It's
Whoa,
true.
getting heated in here.
So let's go this chronologically. Well, look, listen.
Yeah,
listen.
I was
In
pulling,
Serbia,
I
you're
was
supposed
pulling
to
you
drink.
from an old one. It was like an old.
Yeah, okay.
one.
There's two old ones, right? So one thing, disclaimer. Yeah, it is drinking age is over 18 in Serbia, but Serbia is weird. They feed beers to babies. I was there visiting a couple of weeks ago, and a friend's house, and they have like a 1-year-old, and she was sitting at her dad's lap, taking her pacifier, or what do you call that? Still,
Yeah, yeah.
You
Yeah,
know what,
pacifier, isn't it?
and she was sticking in the beer and just eating it the
Amazing.
whole evening. And then she took a sip out of the beer, and she's 1 year old. So it's a little bit different. When I was a kid, I could go when I was 10, go to the store, buy beers and pack of cigarettes
For
and a
your
vodka,
parent.
and no one would,
not
but no one,
Yeah,
no
it's
one
chill,
would bat
bro.
an eye. So we kind of, we did drink beer earlier than you're supposed to. But anyway, when I was 15, 16, God, I hope my daughter doesn't listen to this. Listen, I could listen to this.
That is
It
true.
didn't
This is
happen.
now a
Daddy's
thing
just
you're
making
thinking
up
about.
stories to be funny.
Hi, Agatha.
It's
in
not
the future,
true.
We're in the past.
Hi,
Yes.
Agatha in the future.
You shall not touch alcohol before you're 18. Only with daddy's supervision. All right?
That's
Okay,
wise.
So that's
Listen
out of the
to
way.
your father.
That's out of the way. Tuborg was the premium beer because back in Serbia you had two beers of choice.
Yeah, well, Tim, I remember you were like, Tuborg's the best.
You had Love or Yellen. One is a lion and one is a deer. One is yellow, one is blue, and that's your choice of beer. That's
They
all
tasted
you can
the same,
choose.
right? Pretty much.
And they tasted absolutely the same. But if you had a little more money, if you had a little extra, you could get a Tuborg, which had a little bit of, compared to craft beer, it's still all just pissy water, but it had a little bit of extra taste. So that's why I have promoted Tuborg, you know, like
back in the day, like teenage years.
Back in the day. So that's teenagers. Now, later on when you visited me in Slovakia, I was piss poor. I had no money.
That's true. That's true.
And out of the 50-cent beers level, because you have like a 50-cent beer level, you can go lower, but that's just dreadful.
Poopy.
And then that's like 50, and then like a €1 level is like your Czech Budweiser, Pilsner, Urkel, or all these like pretty
so
decent
the Kozel
lagers.
was a 50 center.
Was a 50-center where you got Smedny Mnich and all these just so. But out of those, Kozel was like the decent taste.
So basically, you're saying like,
at least
based on this budget, like that's probably what we should.
Yes.
That's like decent. Okay, that makes more sense in the context.
Yeah. So that's why I was looking for those, because like that's a really like low tier beers and the tastes not so good. So yeah, so that's.
But you know what's funny though? I have to say that like all these like lagers, I actually don't think it's that bad. I actually kind of like this one, the flavor. Like
but I didn't have it for a while.
Yeah.
Usually
it's more flavorful and like a fuller taste than some of those beers, like the classic, factory lagers. And
usually people
bad.
have Zlatý bažant here. Is that usually if you like go to like a old school place and they don't have like a craft beer or something, or they don't have like a Budweiser or Pilsner, like usually you get a Zlatý bažant, which is okay.
Is that a Slovakian one?
But it's, yeah, that's a Slovakian one. That's like the most famous one. I think they're owned by Heineken now as well.
Oh, everyone's owned by Heineken. So what are you drinking there, bud?
Well, I went with the sister of that beer. This one is Lowlander Yuzu and Grapefruit. Yuzu pink? Yuzu? Sorry. I got stuck there. The description, Yuzu, pink grapefruit, Earl Grey tea, and goose beer. And goose beer is a sour,
like
which I really like.
Multi-tier beer.
It's multi-tier. It's a lot of tastes. And this one's like that one was Indianish, and this one's let me have a little taste. Ooh. This one feels, you know what it feels like? It feels like sitting on a field of grass. And a summer afternoon. I'm talking like 5 or 6-ish. Right? When the sun is starting to not like kick your ass with like super sun rays, but it's not a golden hour yet. It's nothing. That's what this beer feels like. So yeah.
Wonderful.
Nice.
So relaxing.
Go to our second movie of the night, the oldie. Does anyone have any news or anything like that?
Yeah, my news is that Sony. Never mind. Let's not talk about that. Spider-Man again. Nah.
I mean, we look. Spider-Man is our mascot. Apparently,
does whatever a spider can. He spins a web any size.
I don't mind talking about it. I don't mind talking about it, but it's a lot of PR and fake journalism dribble right now at the moment. We don't have the actual.
Timely. We'll look back at this and be like, what?
Yeah, what have we done? Why are we talking about this?
Maybe by next week we'll have some confirmations of if Tobey Maguire coming back or not.
Tobey,
but yeah, everyone's like losing their shit over this Spider-Man thing. But whatever, who cares?
I agree.
Any other news? Let me see my notes.
What? I don't know. Like
or what?
Anything.
Your life, how are you guys doing?
The Amazon rainforest is burning.
God damn it! What? First, it's the Louvre, not the Louvre. The Louvre. No, the other thing.
Notre Dame.
We need to be aware, and people have to go and check it out, and not check out the forest.
By the way, guys, I'm late to
see what can be done to help that. Okay, go on.
Is this true, Bernie?
It's true. It's pretty bad.
Wow.
But then again,
I've like weather or
no,
it's
a combination of weather. It's a combination of the fact that there's a lot of farming going on and a lot of cattle farming, which they tear down lots of trees and then it becomes dry, and there's a lot of that. And of course, the Brazilian government is not being very cooperative about it. And that's all I know. And
I had an argument at work about like lab grown meat. I just think it's like a cool thing. Like if we can,
it is cool
because I like to eat meat, right?
Me too. I love it.
But I would like to stop eating actual meat because of maybe not moral reasons, more of environmental reasons because it's a big chunk of
less cows pooping, farting.
Yeah, less cows pooping and farting, and just cows just.
But
let
if you think about it,
chill.
the lab grown meat is actually I agree. It's a cool idea because if you can have pretty much the same flavor and texture, I mean, why not? I'm for it.
Well, the funny thing is that I've
exactly-
never really had a problem not eating meat because like I eat a lot of stuff that is fairly like tasty without any meat included. Like I like pastas and I like various dishes that can be substituted with tofu and substituted with something else. Yeah, so it's like so I personally don't have a huge problem not eating so much meat.
Yeah,
but you like meat.
But I do love meat. It's great, but it's
like
not like
once
it's
a
not like
week,
for me,
like
I
have a
cannot
good steak or something like that's wonderful.
So do you eat only once a week meat?
Me?
No. I mean, I think it's more of like a
that's the goal.
Twice 3, yeah. But sometimes it's like once a week if it's a good week. Like I'll try to
good.
avoid. Yeah, just have it as a treat, But once we get lab grown meat, imagine that any shape you want, you can have like a sculpture of meat.
Bring back the chicken dinosaur nuggets.
Just like like chicken nuggets out of that's proper meat in there, not the pink goo. But but he's like, he was just like, oh, but like he'll never be real. It has to be killed. And
I would love
like,
to
dude,
try.
chill out.
Who said this?
If it tastes, this is my coworker. He's like, it'll
Right.
never be real because it wasn't running, and then you kill it, and then the procedure of like you're like, it's not real. You have to kill the like. When was the last time you killed the thing you ate?
Yeah, it's like
No, like for me, it's just strange because like I cannot like I understand other people's. Maybe I do, but I can't really understand other people's non-willingness to let go of eating meat because for me, it's never been a problem.
That's I don't know.
think
It is
for
true.
me
I do
it's
not
the-
understand as well.
it's the
like,
classic
obsession.
thing where I very much enjoy eating meat and I eat a lot of meat. But when I start to think about it more, I do get into this philosophical quandary of is the best. So that's why I would say that as a meat eater, this sounds cool to me. Like if it's perceivably the same, then why not? Like seriously, why not?
Yeah, we should support it. Get
Oh, I hear that Paco's still in here, back in the studio.
Paco. He's the real mascot. Him and Spider-Man are buddies. Should be Tobey Maguire's new. Oh, there it is.
There he is.
Paco.
Thank you for the guest appearance.
The guest appearance. We need to give credit to Paco, the guest. Okay, so without further ado,
Yes.
let's talk about our second movie. And I
Hooga
wanna-
chaka, hooga chaka, hooga.
Oh, yeah. We're watching Guardians of the Galaxy. It's tied in because of
I would
Kurt
love
Russell?
if I would love if this film. What? He's not in this
What
film.
are we talking about?
No, but he's in. I was faking it out. I was faking that we watch Guardians of the Galaxy because Kurt Russell is in Guardians of the Galaxy too.
But you're
Yeah, but
fooling
he's
no
not
one.
in-
Everyone sees our cover art.
I know. No, we watched Reservoir Dogs because we did a few different pairings. We did a pairing. Oh, how about movie that's based on the same people like the Beatles, or we did how about a reboot like the Spider-Man, or how about just the same theme, 2 action movies. But this week we're doing something different. We're doing how about this was the last of the movies, the director's movie we watched. How about we watch the first movie he ever did and compare them? So that's what we did. Now before we go into it, I want to say how first time I saw Reservoir Dogs, because this is not the first time I saw Reservoir Dogs.
Of course.
I watched Reservoir Dogs first, but I already
When?
knew the plot of the movie.
You did.
Do you want to know why and how?
No.
Let's go back in time. Do you guys remember this website on the internet in the Flash days? I can't remember what's it called.
The
For the love of
Bunnies?
God. The Bunnies.
Oh yeah. Remember the bunnies reenacting different movies? They made a Flash animation.
The bunnies.
That's
It
how
was-
I
it
know.
was a
That's
little
how I
cute
know
little
about
bunny.
Alien.
Didn't we Pulp Fiction? Didn't that do?
Yeah.
I just remember Reservoir Dogs so distinctly. And I was watching this movie, and every line that it's in the stupid bunnies video, like, you're gonna bark all day, little buddy. Or what is it?
That's
It was
right, the Flash animations.
He's like, I'm gonna fucking die. You're not gonna fucking die. And I watched that because I thought it was really funny. But bunnies being all bloody and swearing, not knowing what Reservoir Dogs is. Right? No, I had no idea that was Tarantino. Nothing. I just loved that video. And then watching Reservoir Dogs like years later, it was hilarious. Like, oh my goodness, it's the bunnies thing. And immediately as we started watching for this podcast, I remember the bunnies. I wonder what's going on with that bunnies thing. I'm gonna go check it
I'm
out.
checking it out now.
Yeah, I haven't thought of that either. I think
was
there's
it
a lot of
called?
people that do know about it.
says
Bunnies
I Love
reenacting
Pie.
movies. That's all I can tell.
That was like Homestar Runner kind of internet meme age. This was before YouTube, I would say, right?
Yes, for
this is
sure.
like the albino black sheep days and stuff.
30-second Bunnies Theater Angry Alien Productions.
That's what they're called?
Angry
Angry
Alien
Alien.
Productions.
Oh, this is an old website.
Do they still make these?
No, I don't. Well, yeah, I think there's Cabin in the
Reservoir
Woods.
Dogs is the first one.
It is the first one. Yeah. Oh, the site. This site hasn't changed.
No.
No, it hasn't.
Oh, Alien. Yeah.
This
yeah,
is how I
yeah.
know about Exorcist too.
Oh, that's right. They did a
Oh,
lot
The
of
Exorcist
movies.
are just banging. Yeah, I think I seen a lot of plot of famous movies just because I saw this video first before I
Man,
actually
this
got
is
to see the
bringing back
movie.
some memories.
Crazy.
Young Frankenstein. That's a good movie. So yeah,
I would like to
that's
see
what I
that.
thought of.
So that's what
So we
you first
watched
saw.
Reservoir Dogs. Guys.
Yeah.
Did you see Reservoir Dogs before this,
Mm-hmm.
Philip?
I did, and to bring it full circle, similar mindset as Phil when I watched it. Not maybe it was a bit later.
When did you see
give me
it?
a time frame. When did you see it? I
20
wanna
When did
know.
you see it, man?
2009, something like that.
Oh,
Somewhere
wow.
around
2009.
It's 10 years
What-
ago.
This Cabin in the Woods came out then.
there. Really?
Did it?
No, it came out in 2011.
Oh, Kevin was later.
2011. What came out 2009? What's
Bunch of
the
stuff.
Watchmen.
Watchmen? Yeah.
Somewhere around there. I think I was
Whatever,
like 15. I think
Terminator Terminator Salvation.
and it was during a time where I wanted to
Avatar.
watch more movies
Avatar. That's what I'm thinking.
that are like classics and things you should watch. And I guess I was starting to explore more movies outside of the action genre. and
Inglorious
stuff like that.
Bastards came out in 2009. And
That's
Zombieland.
right.
I think. Oh, I love that movie. And
Never
District
seen it.
9. You never seen
Yeah,
Zombieland?
I love District 9. I used to not like it, but now I love it.
Okay, sorry, Jacob. I apologize.
I take that
We-
back. I
we-
think I didn't watch it so much like Phil watched it back then because I was like 15, 16. So I was already like watching more serious movies and stuff like that. However,
Well, how did you pick it yourself? Did you watch it with some friends? Like,
no,
how did you?
Just myself because I had seen
Oh,
a couple
really?
of I had seen a couple of Tarantino movies. Like I think Phil and I watched Kill Bill 1, 2.
Mhm.
What else did you do?
So what is this? Jake sitting next to his laptop?
Just
Yeah,
like
on his
sitting
laptop.
on his laptop. Yeah. In 2009, somewhere around there, I was 15, 16, and I was like, I want to see this movie. I've heard, maybe I even talked to you, Tim. It's possible, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, Tarantino, this is Tarantino's first film, Reservoir Dogs. I've heard about this so many times. I'm like, let's check it out. And I think compared to now, back then, it was a much more of an intense experience because I didn't know what to expect. Because I was thinking it was going to be like sort of a regular kind of crimey film. And
Mhm.
I think one of the things that stuck with me as very intense, and back then when I was 15, I found it very cruel, was the torture scene.
Oh, the cutting off the ear.
And that was like the thing that stuck with me the most. The rest
Okay.
kind of went a little bit over my head. I was paying attention, but I wasn't really understanding like the flavor of the movie. I sort of felt like, this is a little bit brutal. It's a little bit serious, these people. It's like, why would they be these criminals and things like that?
Interesting.
So
But
you're
it
like-
wasn't so much like the Phil thing he was saying. It was already kind of post that, but it had a
Well,
little bit of
I want to
that.
hear Phil's opinion then, but I want to clarify. So your overall thought when you were done with the movie, you closed the laptop, was like confused, like what was the point of this?
Something along those lines. Like I sort of
Okay.
understood it. Like, okay, yeah, it's like a serious film. Like it's objectively pretty good. I think it was a good film, but it didn't like, I didn't fully understand it in a sense. It was more like that was a little intense, and that was and then I was like sort of done, and I watched. That was more like a checklist. Like I checked that out.
Okay. What about you, Phil? When did you see it?
Yesterday.
This is the first time?
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
Oh.
Wow.
Oh,
Welcome
That's right.
to
I've heard about it a long time, like for years, because
obviously Tarantino, everyone knows.
I've heard about it. People talk about Mr. Blue, Mr. Pink, no idea. I just saw what's funny about it? This movie is just that I know that there's a warehouse and I know that there's lots of blood. And for me, it was like, that's not too much of a problem. Like the violence, not too much of a problem. But the thing, and then I just heard it was Mr. Blue, Mr. White, Mr. Brown, Mr. Pink, Mr. Blonde, all that kind of stuff. And I, like I said, warehouse, people pointing guns at each other, and
there's always like in magazines, you always have like iconic shots, like the guy on the floor,
and the shot, and the very misleading shot. Now that I've seen the film of them walking in slow motion in the parking garage, like the parking lot,
Yeah, after the diner.
Yeah, and you think, oh, these are just the cool guys being cool, doing cool stuff, right? That's what it's about. What I liked about it was that the movie started like that. You got some nice bunch of people talking, and then there's the slow motion cool guy scene, and then it cuts to, well, did not expect this.
Cuts to the most fakest car ride ever.
No, I'm sorry. I feel like Friends still has this distinction.
Friends is top worst blue screening.
It's true. There's. I think the projection wasn't that bad as the audio was horrendous in that scene. And this is what I mean.
Hey, Tim, don't you want to like emphasize, like just give us a synopsis for people?
Yeah. I will definitely will. So, Reservoir Dogs is Tarantino's first movie. It's an ensemble movie of these gang, not a gang. It's a heist squad. All that were collected by this old heister man, and they're gonna rob some diamonds. But unfortunately, all goes awry because they're set up. Cops are waiting for them, and some of them manage to escape to a warehouse where they're supposed to be rendezvous. And then they're all very suspicious of each other because who's the rat? Mm-hmm. Who did everything? And then they're all against each other. They try to play mind games.
Yep.
There's a cop that's been brought in there that they want to torture. Tim Roth is always changing accents. There's a lot of blood. And it turns out Tim Roth is a cop. He's a cop. And then it's and then it ends. Here's the thing. I love this movie.
Okay.
I love this movie, right? I enjoy it. But watching this, especially after watching Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, it felt like such a student film that I don't think I can resist to nitpick some things just because of fun. Not because I don't like the movie or that it devalues it, but just because you can see the comparison. It's just so obvious.
Okay, Phil, go. Then I have something to say.
Me?
Yeah. So I'll do it throughout the podcast. A couple of things, but like even just at the start, the conversation with Tarantino talking about the Madonna thing, and how you can clearly see how it's written, that it's supposed to be this natural conversation where people interrupt each other, people lose thought, but the people who are acting in it still don't know Tarantino's style. You know what I mean? So it's very awkward where you can clearly see where the stops are. It's not the natural conversations that you now hear in a Tarantino movie where it's just like a fluent, group conversation. You can clearly see, especially with a rotating camera around it felt very studenty. It felt very over the top of like, this is what I want to do. I still appreciate it because he get to do it even greater later on. But this, like, it's so nice to see the first steps.
Right.
That's what I want to say.
Well, I have to say that I feel like I have seen enough of directors' first movies that we all know who've done better things, bigger things. And they all feel, there's a certain feeling that you get when you watch them. And I feel like for the good ones, it feels like there's a solid idea. You can tell this was made with someone who knows what they're doing, but it feels like that they have limitations or they have ways of having to grow. But I feel like that is not a problem with people who don't know in retrospect that this is someone's first movie. That being said, I feel like what you're saying is correct, because I did like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood better than this. But at the same time, I feel like this movie shows a lot of strengths in what is being presented and how the story is being shown.
Yes.
And I feel
agree.
like there's a lot of things that you can tell someone behind this film knows what they're doing and they understand what film, like they've seen enough movies to understand what a movie should be about, and how, like, the language is something that someone is a native speaker in.
So
there's a lot of effort, and like you can see it's finely tuned from writing all the way to editing. It's very concentrated as comparing to, you know, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where it's like a breather. It's like, let's do this now, and it's okay.
Well,
this
coming
is
back to
like,
what we talked about earlier, right? The sense that Once Upon a Time in Hollywood really takes its time and isn't really following it. It's what I said earlier. It's the opposite of a debut film, you know?
Yeah.
This is a debut film, literally. And
it's true.
You can, when I watched it, the comparison immediately was obvious, is that this is a very tight movie, and intentionally so, you know, because there is no room to mess around and like, let's tell this long-winded story, you know?
Yeah.
Like that's,
even though it is, and I would assume maybe watching it then, you know, when you get these flashbacks of backstories of all the characters, and you have Tim Roth rehearsing his whole character thing, like you would maybe see that, like, oh, why are we taking time off to watch this? You know, we should go back to bloody, you know, warehouse. But it's a funny after
Tim
watching.
Roth is that's all he does in the entire movie is just lie down in the pool of his own blood. It's great.
Tim Roth is it, but it also what I said previously, like they don't know the Tarantino language yet. You know, people, if you cast someone in a Tarantino movie like 3 movies later, they probably watched older Tarantino movies, and they will probably try to, maybe not consciously, maybe subconsciously, try to imitate whatever was done before. Like reading the dialogue, they'll go, you know, much more natural. But, you know, these are the first timers, and you can, I don't know, I could clearly, there were lines, there were not conversation, which was interesting to hear. And it's not that they're like worse actors, like, oh, now he has Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio and Al Pacino because he has money, but it's like,
what are you saying? Harvey Keitel is not good enough?
No, that's what I'm saying, that it's not that, because like Tim Roth is a theatrical actor, like he's done amazing parts. He's not some schmuck off the street, you know, some friend of Tarantino's that he you know, he's a proper actor. But it's still, sometimes I was just
are you
feeling
talking
like,
about that you're feeling some of the Clerks approach
of the real
of the
actors, but there's
like feeling
the
rehearsed.
natural feel of a Tarantino conversation. You can see the building blocks, but it's still not there, which is really interesting, because you can see how he thinks. You can see
that's
way
what I
he
feel
constructs things, because it's a little bit more, it's not polished enough, so you can see the seams, you know, which is interesting to watch it like that, because I haven't seen it. Because I remember seeing it. Sorry, I burped. I apologize. I've seen this movie a long time ago, and being blown away, like how cool it is. Like you have these, you know, like great comic book kind of shots where it's all you know, very blocked, very deliberate, and the conversation's so cool, and all these people are so cool. Seeing it from that perspective, and now seeing it as older, seeing other movies, and where you can see, you know, the kind of like the behind the scenes kind of what's the word, pouring through, you know, the cracks, which was just the fart. So that was really cool to me.
Yeah,
I like the way the camera was operated. I think that was
shots.
great. Yes, very good. You got wides, wonderful. You got compositions that were wonderful. And you know what else I found out? I was watching this movie yesterday. And a blackout happened while I was watching it, by the way. So the power went out for about 20 minutes, which was
Spooky.
interesting, especially when Harvey Keitel goes like, I think I'm jinxed. And it's just, it's fantastic.
Ghosts.
And, but what I did notice was that the sound is very similar to how the sound was in Once Upon a Hollywood at a Time. Like I noticed the sound was very important in that movie, and
Hollywood
I noticed the sound
once.
Yes, and I noticed how the sound was important in this one as well, because I noticed that that they were adding, like, there was like this low humming noise, like there's this low drum, and it's like, and I'm so happy to see this. It's the
location sound. Like, you don't get that a lot in modern movies.
Also, neither of these films had scores.
It's true.
You're right.
But that's really. But I have to say that watching this movie, some a little bit more obvious, some less, but I could see the influences of Tarantino that he had with this movie and his later movies to directors that came after him, people like Edgar Wright or
Oh yeah,
or James Gunn, you know, just with the songs and just how he uses that. You kind of know about this, but watching this movie, it became really clear, like, just how things are constructed and
so for
the
me,
way
what was fun about watching the movie was, again, coming back to this feeling of,
you're
hey,
chopping stuff off. Now you watched it with delight.
Yeah, now I watch it, it's like, beautiful. No, I wanted to say that it's just nice, you know, to see, you know, both these movies, in my opinion, have, you know, a sense of like weight, quality. You know, like when you're watching the film, you feel like
you're not bored. You don't feel like
more in the sense of there is, you know, there is
like a vision behind it or something.
Yes, there's a vision. There's a thought process behind it. There is someone who's trying to put something together in a way that's very intricate, very much a part of themselves, but also it's a multi-layered thing. You know, great movies, they have all kinds of dimensions to them, and the director or the writer, they think about what they're doing, and they're intentional about what they're doing, and there's a reason behind every shot. There's a reason behind every bit of dialogue, and there's a reason behind why these things are on screen. And there's a difference between watching a movie like that and watching a movie that's just like whatever. You know, there's two different approaches. So I love that. You know, I like to just see a film again. You know, because contrary to our movie approaches, I don't watch that many movies. Like, you know, in general.
I think Phil and me would be more movie interested. Well, I think I would maybe watch more newer movies while Phil
I think I'm just maybe, you know, I think maybe I was more interested in films in general before, whereas now maybe a little bit less so in general. What was interesting to me about this movie though as well was that it did the classic, you know, tactic of, but there's something I liked about this, which was that, you know how you're alluding to sort of a student film type feel.
Yes.
And there are some student films which do the, you know, the classic, I will make the whole movie take place in a room. You know? Yes. And it's like, it'll be so clever, and it'll be the whole movie, 2 hours, but in one room.
The key word, it'll be so clever. Yes.
Yeah. And it'll be in a room, and it'll transcend every, you know, philosophical themes, and beautiful, but in one room, you know? You know how some student films do that? But the funny thing is, this movie actually kind of does that, but what I liked about it was that it didn't play on the fact like, it's one warehouse. It actually said, look, here's a bit of a setting, you know, here's a bit of a context, you know, you get a feel of, we're in the diner, we have some flashbacks of the offices, you know, but it is kind of proper clever in that the movie does actually mostly take place in the warehouse, but it doesn't feel like it just takes place in the warehouse. That means that it's not like it's all on the viewer to imagine the rest of the things. The movie actually sets all those things up for you, and includes other scenes that connect to the warehouse. But yeah, you know, the majority is, that reminded me a little bit of that film, The Student.
I think the difference is that, he might have had the same ideas. Like, also sort of non-chronological structure of the movie. You know, you get to see things and you'll get like cold openings, you know, like with him dying in the car. Like, what happened? You don't know. And then the characters reveal stuff. That's like such a student approach. That's like when you're finishing film school, like, I'm going to chop it all up. And, you know, but the difference is, yeah, we've seen like a zillions of these student movies and they all suck.
Right.
But Tarantino did the same ideas because he was a starter, but he also knew how to do them good. Like, he took his time, and it's just not randomly cold opening. It's like there's a emotional story that also gets developed, and you know, getting to know the backstory. Like, he's a cop and everything. It plays to have a good plot, you know, and that's the difference. Like, it may feel studenty, but he did it good. That's probably why it was so, you know, praised and accepted for his first movie.
That's another thing I wanted to mention. Like, for me, the movie was fine. I liked it. I enjoyed it. It's not something I would watch again as much because it just, for me, personally, you know, like the aesthetic, the context, the stuff like that is not interesting to me. So it's not like
a lot of N words. I was not prepared.
I was wondering about that because I was gonna say, like, it's funny that is the case when in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood you would expect that to be a lot more there.
There's nothing. I think they just changed the word for hippie. Everyone just says hippie a lot. Well, no one says the N word. Well, you have a bunch of white people just left and right.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. Is that like a context thing, or is that I don't know.
Edgy? We're being edgy. Hey,
probably.
Listen, man, we're being edgy. All right.
All right. Yeah. So, but I don't know. I've read like throughout the years of the whole thing, and there's like people like Spike Jones. They're like, he's white. You can't use
Spike
it.
Lee.
Spike Jones. Spike Lee. Yeah. Sorry. I apologize to all the
Rupert
Spikes.
Green.
Mike Jones.
Mike Jones. And,
No, he's thinking of Spike Jones. Who's Mike Jones?
Yeah, Spike Jones, the director.
Director, yeah.
Yeah, director.
I wanted to say Mike.
Spike Lee's another director, but that's not what I was thinking of.
Yeah,
Tom
he looked
Jones.
like Waluigi
Tom Jones.
on the Oscars.
And then you have Samuel L. Jackson who's like, yeah, you can use the N word. It's fine because he understands it. So there's a lot of criticism. There's a lot of stuff. I don't know why Tarantino uses it. I guess just because he uses violence because it's fun.
Idea.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, that was that's one of my favorite interviews. Have you seen that on the TV? Like it was like on CNN. It's like, why are you doing so much violence? Because it's so much fun, Jan.
I haven't seen that one.
It's so great. And I'm like, yes, thank you. It doesn't, like, seriously, it's just something, you know, like it's an aesthetic thing. It's like, if you like it, you know, like that's why people like horror movies. That's why people like so and so. It's like, whatever, man.
Yeah.
It wasn't that violent in context. And I feel like people's response to the violence in this movie was simply because it feels a little more real.
Yeah.
It's totally off topic, but when you guys watched the movie for the first time, did you figure out early on that Tim Roth was the cop?
No, not at all.
Me neither.
No idea,
when I watched
it
the first time,
so long.
Also,
I mean,
it was the bunnies. I knew because of the bunnies.
The bunnies ruined
the bunnies
everything
have
for you.
revealed.
What bunnies? What?
The
30-second bunnies.
I don't remember that, but like I watched this movie yesterday. I haven't seen it ever since. No, I haven't noticed. I did not notice until he shot Michael Madsen.
Same for me with the first time
before
I
he
watched
started
it.
birding. Did you know
like,
that?
Oh, okay.
That Michael Madsen character is the brother of the John Travolta character from Pulp Fiction?
Yeah, because I was wondering because he said his last name is Vega, and I'm like,
Yes.
oh. And then I was thinking to myself, does that mean that Quentin Tarantino is making like a continuity kind of thing? 'Cause that's fun.
Yeah.
That's fun. See, that's what I like about being like, if you're creative and you like doing stuff like that, you can make your own little continuity, and it's fun.
So
it's really fun.
In comparing the films, we kind of came to some takeaways that the language wasn't really developed yet in the first film, the Tarantino language, right? Whereas in this latest movie, it's something that's already way, way, way down the road.
It's baked in. Everybody knows about it, so go watch it.
I don't want to accept it. But speaking of the student stuff, that's such a student ending.
Yeah.
I did not like the ending. Yeah, I was gonna mention that that's the one thing that I didn't like about it. I didn't like how it concluded. I did like the process of getting where we are because I did like the idea of Tim Roth dying, you know, and I did like them arguing and who's the bad guy, you know, who done it, and Michael Madsen being unnervingly he's really intense without doing much, you know. It's just
I think he casually pulls off the best performance
Yeah.
in that movie. To me, I know Tim Roth is amazing, and he's whining and crying.
Which one is he?
Mr. Blonde.
Mr. Blonde, the guy who cuts off the ear, the torturer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I know he's
when I watched the torture thing, it wasn't that intense. I mean,
Yeah, that's the funny thing. When I watched it too this time, I was like, man,
I'm like, wow, the camera's moving away.
Yeah.
So we can get that prop jelly.
Because I really reacted totally different when I was 15. It really felt intense. And watching it this time, I was like, that's honestly really not even a torture scene.
I mean, times have changed. There are a lot more gruesome things shown on TV. And also, you've seen a lot more things probably, personally.
And then again, I guess in 1992, it would be different because that's where I think that the biggest praise comes from. It comes from the time it came out.
What did I want to say?
The next renaissance of
the ending,
movie.
I agree. Wouldn't you guys say that was like the classic edgy, like, ooh?
Yeah.
Did you know that Kevin Smith wanted to end Clerks like that?
No.
What, everybody's shooting each other?
No. So the original ending of Clerks that he then cut for Sundance away, the first premiere had an ending where where Dante is in the store.
I haven't seen Clerks.
And then oh shit. Okay, well, okay. So you've seen Jake, so you know. So Phil won't know. So Dante's in the store, and he's like, "Oh, he got back to with his girlfriend. Everything's fine." A robber comes in and shoots him.
Yeah, I think I heard about this.
It's like the classic edgy thing. Like,
I don't like the edgy
everybody
thing.
Dies.
It's so
Everybody
stupid.
dies because you're stupid. Like it's like it's such a subverting expectations. You think it's ending, but then I get you in the end. Everybody dies. You know?
Which is what I expected with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and I was so happy nothing happened. I mean, yes, something happened, but I mean, like
Something happened, but the
everyone's
good guys,
buddies. I love
our
it.
heroes are all good.
But yeah, that is definitely the ending of
Everyone's
Reservoir Dogs
buddies.
Because the thing is, you don't have to do that. You can just be like, well, that's it. And it's like,
And I did
that's
not
a
like
story.
that last shot of Harvey Keitel just kind of going off frame. Whoop.
Yeah.
And then Steve Buscemi just freaking out and taking like being Steve Buscemi, like, oh, the wonky dude running away with the diamonds. Like it's the weirdo. He got away with it.
Yeah.
But it's fine. It's totally fine. It's
fine. Like
funny.
honestly, I've seen other first movies from directors that became big, and there's Evil Dead. There's Kronos. Have you seen Kronos?
Is that the Guillermo
Guillermo Toro? Yes.
Guillermo del Toro, yes.
Academy Award winner Guillermo Toro.
Did you see the Steven Spielberg the car thing?
Yeah. You mean
what's it called? It's like
I would keep saying
Twofold.
Drive. It's not Drive.
No, it's Drive. It's like a Duel, isn't it?
Duel. Yeah. No, I haven't seen that, but I know that Steven Spielberg's a little bit different because he started doing episodes for TV.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't.
And then
like,
Duel was a TV movie, and then his real cinematic movie was Sugarland Express, which I also haven't seen.
okay.
So, but I think all these films have something in common, and what they have in common is, I think this is a good thing, and I think most of them do not shoot outside of the budget limitations that they have.
That's the most important thing about your first movie. Like David Fincher, everyone, if you watch their first movie, they know how to utilize whatever they got.
They're stepping up by making this feel like a legit film, and if you do not have the budget for something, you make your film around the budget that you have, and you're presenting something that can stand toe-to-toe with big movies, but because you don't have the budget, you're using it to make it smaller,
Yeah, even if you see, David Lynch's first movie, or even Christopher Nolan's, like he,
yes, that's what I was going to say. Following, he mentioned that Following, and this is what I've been thinking about all the time. He said that if we could just, this was back in what, 1998, 85, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
He said, what we did for the beginning of the film is we made the first 5 minutes, and I haven't seen the film, but this is what he said. For the first 5 minutes, we made the sound really good, and we made, and it was purposefully made to look like a real film. So if you bought those first 5 minutes, we can keep going with whatever the story is and not have to care as much as we did at the beginning because you're hooked in already.
Yeah. I mean,
go on.
that's really clever. That separates them from just okay directors, because they are fully aware of all the aspects of the movie, not just plot or putting the main actors in there or whatever it is. They really understand the medium, and
You like
they
Space
use
Cop.
they understand
Space
the
Cop
medium,
is here.
and they can
Cop.
use any aspect of it to tell a story, and that's why they're great.
Yeah, there's a good
Space Cop.
there's a good lesson to be learned there, because like I think Reservoir Dogs, it's funny, like apparently Quentin said that he wanted to shoot the whole heist scene, but there was no money for it, and he said it was probably better because then they didn't have to even bother doing that, and you could just do the aftermath.
The Jaws thing comes back again.
Yeah, the Jaws thing. Yeah.
So what else can we learn from the parallels?
He doesn't use the N-word anymore. He uses
Yep.
he's not in his movies anymore. Oh, you know what I learned?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Not in his movies, but also
I'm glad he's not.
No feet shots in what's a face? What in Reservoir Dogs? Not
no
a single
female characters.
There
No
was
female
a lot of
characters,
feet
no
stuff
female
in Kill
feats.
Bill. I remember.
Did you see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
Yeah,
there was a
there's just
whole
feet all
scene
over
where
the
there's
place.
a foot the entire time in a wide shot.
I don't remember.
What, you don't remember, dude? Everyone's feet were there. Every girl that was
Every
in
lady's
that movie,
feet was just right there.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I think he's doing it deliberately now.
He's doing it
just
on purpose for sure.
Yeah, he's just like, there you go.
feet.
For the footmen. Here you go. Watch the feet.
The footmen, the ground troops,
The foot
Yeah.
fetish men, footmen.
But I like that they still
the
visually
Foot Clan.
feel that-
Do you know about the Foot Clan? That's from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
yeah, because they're like and you know why they're called the Foot Clan?
No.
Because teenage. Do you know there was it was based on a comic book?
Yes, it was, and the comic book was a little bit darker
Yes.
than the.
Yes,
kids.
and it was
meant to be
was
like a parody. Yeah.
It was a parody of Daredevil, and in Daredevil you have the hand.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And you know what?
That's
Also,
cool.
you know also the ooze that that drips down to the sewers is the ooze that went on to Daredevil, made him blind, and then went into the sewers and turned on the.
I didn't know.
that's-
Man. Okay. Well,
That's pretty-
this is a learning channel.
Welcome to the learning channel. So yeah, that's that. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, so I do see so for this film I do see that it was made, like I mentioned this, it was made with someone who knows he understands the language of film, and I feel like this is also a pretty good proof, because like I don't think Tarantino's done anything like this before, right?
What are you talking about? Like
He's not made a
Dogs or what?
movie. He's not made a movie like this. He's not made a movie until Reservoir
What are you
Dogs.
talking about,
Like,
Philip?
because I remember I've seen on YouTube, like there was like this stuff that Quentin Tarantino used to do, like little shorts with him in it,
Okay.
and it was like before, but it wasn't a movie.
Before Reservoir Dogs.
Yes.
He didn't do a movie. No, he did like a 10-minute. It's on YouTube. You can watch it. Like,
Yes,
yeah.
I remember
I mean,
that.
I think I'm pretty sure everyone knows by now, but if you don't, he used to work in a video store and he would just watch a lot of movies, and that's how he learned about movies. And
Really?
he just did the same thing as anyone else, just wanted to make some movies with his friends. And somebody saw that one of these shorts, and he got somehow into, get money to produce a real movie. So he's not like from school or anything, like just a really big movie buff.
Yeah, and I feel like this
Really?
kind of shows that if you have the love for the medium and you know a lot about it and you feel like you have that kind of passion for it, that you, I don't know where I'm going on with this, but
Yeah,
like,
that's okay.
it's just-
But we get you. I think one of the things that I learned is that he hasn't changed. He probably used different DPs, but I think I really appreciate how just you can use the shot without digital grading or adding CGI or anything to make it look unified and to make it look like deliberate. Like in Reservoir Dogs, the entire scenes in the warehouse, you have the green color of the warehouse, which is colored, and then you have the stark contrast because you have the green and red are the, what's it called, complementary colors. So you have the stark difference with the red from the blood, and then you just have white and black suits, which are not colors, so they're just like, I would say, like lines. And you watch those entire shots in the warehouse, and it feels like it's digitally graded because it's such a deliberate look, and it's just done by sets and just by design, and it's such an iconic look, and it gives you a really specific look that you remember. And I just really enjoy doing that. And he keeps doing, like, maybe the colors are really different in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but it still has that feeling where the set and everything and the costume is what gives you the look. And that's really nice to see a lot sometimes.
Yeah.
That's what I learned.
Yeah. What did I learn? Yeah, cool. Yeah.
What did you learn, Jacob?
I didn't learn a whole lot other than what we covered. we covered a lot. We covered a lot this episode. Yeah, I honestly really like the main things that I noticed again were really just the context of when the movies were made in the career of Tarantino, and sort of there were two very different films. Like, if we're comparing them, they're very different, and the intention behind both of them are very different. So it's difficult to compare them directly, other than noticing, the intentions behind them. But it is definitely interesting that you can notice a couple of things, like we talked about, the language, the style, things like that. But I really feel like they're very different movies. Yeah, so that's what I would say.
Yeah. I'm really glad that you guys enjoyed it, and I'm super excited that you have joined the club. And then maybe in the next couple of years,
I haven't joined the club.
No,
I haven't joined the club.
Shut up, Phil. Because I know, I'll make sure, because now you had the experience, the joyful experience, that in the next couple of years, when there's going to be, there's the new Tarantino movie, you're gonna be me, because you're gonna go like, a new Tarantino movie. I will go to the cinema because I will know I will be in good hands. I do not care what this movie's about. I'm just going to go to the cinema and see what Tarantino has cooked up for me.
Well, you're
on this
in luck.
plate.
That was me this time.
Oh, we have Phil. Maybe next time, all three of us, we're going to go.
Maybe. Next time we'll all three of
walking
us.
down the street, music. We
can all go to the cinema together.
Yeah. Magic. Okay, folks.
Man,
I think
so it's very different from me in
2005.
2005.
What? You both said some things at the same time, and this beer is affecting me. So
it's very different from me in 2005, and it's very good that we ran out of time, and I cannot talk about the review I put on IMDb for Pulp Fiction in 2005.
Oh no. Okay, there's always time for IMDb reviews. Philip, enlighten us.
No, I'm
Come
not.
on. Give it.
Why did I say this?
Mention it.
You brought this upon yourself.
I thought we were done. No,
Philip, you're gonna read this. You're gonna read it.
Well, great timing, because I have one thing to read from our listeners.
Yes, so we'll all read something. So Philip, before we, no, we're gonna end with that. So Jacob, so we got another review. We got you look it up. You practice, Philip. You practice your speech.
So we have a couple of reviews / letters for the Twofold podcast. The first is a DM from a good friend named Duncan Vosberg. I don't know if anyone listened to the Matrix Minute. Drew Vosberg was a guest on the Matrix Minute and on our older podcast as well. He's a good friend of mine. Duncan is his brother, and Duncan is a listener of the show. Thank you,
Drew is
Duncan.
the friend, right?
Drew is
one
for
that
you,
I call the friend.
Tim. Drew was referenced by Tim as your friend for years,
that's true.
But hopefully you've graduated calling him by
Never
his
could
name.
remember his name, but I knew who he was.
Duncan is a listener. Duncan, hello, and thank you so much for listening to the show. It's been really awesome hearing some of your feedback and corresponding on Instagram, and I hope it's okay.
That's right.
To read your message you sent us as a DM. And Duncan writes in and says, another great episode this week. I was able to actually catch the movie in theaters for this one. I believe this is for Hobbs and Shaw. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's my edition.
It's better than both of these films.
I had never seen a Fast and Furious movie before, and it really felt like 10 to 12-year-old me got to write and direct a movie. I am in agreement with Tim about the frustration with the laziness of the film, but there were some cheesy moments that made me laugh. Loving this series so far, hoping it can continue. Thank you, Duncan, for the
Duncan. That was a
awesome
great
message.
review. I really enjoyed that.
That's a good one.
That was
See,
awesome.
Tim, you got a fan on your side.
That's good.
See, we have. Why don't more people should write stuff like this? I want to have this stuff at the end of our podcast, man.
We
good.
have an
That's
iTunes
okay.
review in.
Okay, Quentin.
Mickers Kershaw. We all know who this is. Michaela, right, Phil? And Michaela gives us a 10 out of 10. Literally wrote 10 out of 10.
That's high.
That's very high
praise.
Michaela, I
don't think we deserve it, but thank you.
Michaela writes, let me do this properly. Quote, been listening to these goofs for a while now, and this new formula is great. There's a nice sense of nostalgia listening to them talk about an older movie that you probably haven't seen in a few years. Charming bunch of lads. Looking forward to whatever films they choose next. Unquote. Thank you, Michaela, for the wonderful iTunes review.
We appreciate the honesty. We are
appreciate the
goofs.
honesty.
We are 100% goofs.
Goofs is probably what we should put in our bio, like 3 goofs.
Yep. Goofs and hacks. Yeah.
So that's our correspondence for this 2 weeks.
Thank you people for thank you for reading these reviews. They do really help. It's a start of a podcast, and we would like to do this forever because we love it. We enjoy doing a podcast, and that's the reason why we do it. So when you guys leave us reviews and ratings, a lot of other people
I think we're in that phase.
Get to hear it.
We're in that phase now where we launched the podcast. This is episode 4, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's right.
It's very tempting to just not just kind of forget about the whole iTunes and stuff, but it really, really, really helps to grab,
yes, please do it.
To
give us ratings on iTunes.
To punch in. I love how I'm trying to butter this up and make it sound really nice. And Phil is ruining my momentum and I'm really trying hard, man. Here, and Phil, you're just like,
do it, Disney.
Give me iTunes.
How is Bobby formed?
Phil,
but
let the
I
professional
appreciate
speak.
the enthusiasm, Phil. I appreciate the enthusiasm.
I feel like this is helping.
Okay,
I'm helping.
Let me finish, and then I'll leave it to you to do the caveman speak. I wanted to say we really appreciate any written review. It helps a lot, and a star rating, because we still have a chance to get in the new and noteworthy section, and we would love if
we do.
Just a little bit. Just if you're thinking, man, it's just so hard to open the app and everything. We would just love if you could just tap the button, just write something, even if you write like poop 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 poop. That's good.
That's great. We'll read it. We'll even read the poop 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 review.
We'll read it on the show. Okay, Phil, take it away.
Yeah. What do you want to say?
Phil wanted to say the 5 stars.
Phil.
Nothing. I just said, please go and do it. Give us 5 stars. Write a comment on iTunes because it will help us out so much. Because we don't have a lot of people listening, and if we did that, we'd have more people listening, and therefore you get more content. You can listen to us talk all the time. I can talk about when I was 15, good old stories of when I was.
Before we get to the IMDb review, I'm going to leave that as the cherry on top. We also have an Instagram account, and the main reason for that one is if we're being too spammy on that, let us know. But we want to kind of have a conversation with you guys. It's basically the idea is maybe like a post on the episode, and you guys can write your comments or maybe your experience watching the movie. We really just want to, establish a communication with the listeners.
Mm-hmm.
We want to hear what you think, and Instagram has kind of become the norm of where people communicate.
Yeah.
So you can drop us a DM if you want to say something personal. We can read it on the episode, or just talk to the other listeners on the post. Whichever it is. But that's what we thought we were gonna do. And so if you have any feedback, you can just leave us a comment on Instagram. If you don't feel comfortable, you can DM us and reach us there. If you have any feedback on the show, we appreciate all feedback. We're still figuring this thing out, and we're trying different approaches. So let us know. Yep. So now
let us know.
We're going. What year is this? 2015?
2005.
2005. Phil has the same haircut as always.
I was 16. I was 16.
Using PC
back
computer,
then,
Windows XP.
Windows XP, absolutely. Using Windows XP.
What's your browser of choice? Firefox?
I think Firefox just came out, so that might have been it. I don't think Chrome existed yet.
I don't think.
Chrome
maybe,
was
but like super.
Chrome was like 2000.
Yeah, I think
it was. I think it was Firefox. I had a no, not an LCD, but what do you call that? A CRT monitor.
CRT monitor. A lot of widgets on the desktop.
You got to remember that back then I was a little bit angry. Not angry, but I was just like, you live in the Midwest, and your parents and people that you talk to were very conservative, and what you saw from the other side is that my impression was the other side, like which was the left in the States, which we would call Hollywood and stuff like that. What I found was a problem in Hollywood was that it felt like it was just ego, and funny enough, that is still the case. But it's a different. I don't handle it.
I think it was more of like the approach of that Hollywood like relishes in praising all the immoral aspects of life, or whatever.
And they want to
impose that to the rest of the
little
world.
minds. Yes.
And so they always praise things like that, and
perverse would be a good word, right?
Yes,
like praise the perverse.
The perverted nature.
And that's what made me feel like I should, rage against that system.
That's true. You wanted to do your part. So you log into IMDb.
Yeah. And here's the other thing I need to stress that is very important. And what I've realized when I was looking at Letterboxd, when I was looking at IMDb back in the past, but when I'm looking at Letterboxd now, yesterday, in fact, I was looking at reviews of Reservoir Dogs. And I noticed that there is a big fan base for Quentin Tarantino films, and there's a big fan. There is a fan base of people who love the art of film, but in a way that is not the way I love it. You know what I mean? There's a difference, and that is completely fine.
That's okay.
But it's great. But what I see now is that there is a difference, and both options are fine. You can love that. I can love what I love. I love cheesy movies on occasion. I love
Spider-Man.
I love Spider-Man too.
Okay, so Phil watches Spider-Man 2. No, wait,
Yes.
Spider-Man 2 came out 2006.
4.
No? 4. Oh, so you've seen Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 2 is in your heart. You load up Firefox.
Well, what is actually in my heart, and I don't want to, extrapolate this. I want to get to the point. But what is in my heart is basically back then is just annoyance at people praising filmmakers like Quentin Tarantino, Stanley Kubrick, Martin Scorsese, etc., 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 for movies that don't conform to my preferences or palette. For example, I want a movie that has has good, and then there's evil, and then there's something to be learned after that, and then there's a plot that has to be the same. It has to be this, because if they change it, they're trying to change it, but they're showing off. And that's the whole point at the end of it. Where I felt like these directors. Okay, granted,
with the showing off.
Granted, Quentin Tarantino is a show off, but it's fun. It's fun. That's who he is.
You were very angry.
Yeah.
So angry Phil is loading up Firefox. He goes to IMDb. He searches Pulp
He
Fiction.
sees all the reviews and people talking about how it's the second coming, of film god, and
this angers Phil more.
and it's true. And now that you realize that these are just fans who love it and they want to talk about it. I mean, that's their niche. They love that stuff. And now I understand this.
Also, IMDb message boards.
They're horrible.
They're like worse. Like the worst comments in the internet are on news sites, but IMDb
is the second
is even worse. That was troll hive of just absolute trolliness. But besides,
remember Dark Knight. We talked about this on Twitter. You mentioned the same thing. Dark Knight and Captain Marvel, stuff like that. It's just people, trying to get
and like the
go on.
It was like message board on Tim Burton. Topic: Tim Burton is overrated.
No,
Yeah,
or the opposite. What do you think it relates Tim Burton's films with the blah 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 with some kind of minor detail? But never mind.
Whatever. The point is, you're gonna write a review because you're pissed off that reviews are outrageous. So.
And my friends from school love Pulp Fiction, and they were talking about it. Not from school, but from film school, like that love movie making and stuff like that.
Okay,
and it's true. People do that, but it's okay.
Okay. So I'm gonna set up a scene, and you're gonna read it. So you're gonna
everybody's
read it
praising it, and I felt like I needed to contribute my own review.
I think we build this up way too much.
Okay.
So you sit down
here,
and you start typing.
I sit down. Can you hear this? I'm typing.
Yeah, and you read what you were typing, and I want to hear this. This is the last thing we hear, so we'll catch you next episode after this magical speech. I've been Tim, your host. Next week, we got Jacob and his movies.
Oh, man, I have to find something. It's going to be
You got to find something.
hard.
It's going to be great.
I apologize if these
gonna
guys
be a good
have
time.
to watch Dora the Explorer.
It's going to be fantastic.
Oh, God. Please, can we go watch that?
Maybe I can't find anything good in theaters.
It's going to be
Dude,
great.
I will go see Dora. And we'll have Phil again, of course. And so that's this episode. And
We'll see you in 2 weeks. Enjoy.
Okay, so this is me talking, right?
Yeah.
What is this film? What is it? Gangsters walking and saying absolutely nothing. A lot of idle and boring dialogue, boring stories, cliched camera angles, and borrowed materials. True, but that's the point. And a whole lot of F words to fill a space cruiser. Some acting is good, but that's the actor for you. Everything else is empty, empty, empty. Peer pressure and the moronic masses of people say this film is a masterpiece. How? Because they talk about quarter pounders with cheese? Because of the morale of the gangster? What morale? We cool? We cool. Yeah, those phrases have absolute impact. Hoo-hoo, Bobby. Yeah, this is the movie that redefines cinema without redefining it at all. Skip this trash and watch something else. For the love of movies, please do that. Done.
Wow.
Thank you.
You're welcome.